It's yours truly, Probably Pablo, Culture, Lord Productions.
Good morning, South Florida.
This is the Big O Show.
You're tuned into the Big O Show.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. You tuned in to the hottest sports radio show with Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams, from the Dolphins to the Heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, Probably Pablo in the Big O Show. Oh, on the radio, the top's where we gonna go. Miami, that's the way we roll. Locked on the morning show, we go. No one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk live and direct. Because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, listen live, it's the best of the best. He's got the fans, got the heat, he's the best of the best. Big O, the only talking sports with a style. Break it a morning, it's Big O-N. Thank you for tuning in, keeping you glued in. Stay tuned, because right here's where the rumors in. Same place, because right here some of them begin. Simply call and just state your opinion. Real talk, sports talks, the Big O Show. Yeah, you love it, yeah, you like it, call him and let him know. Culture, Probably Pablo, now introducing the man of the hour. Big O, a.k.a. Orlando Gary. Yeah.
Alrighty, we are ready to rock and roll. Yes, sir. We are out here at Hialeah Park, Belmont Steaks tomorrow. Come on out, plunge your guts. We got it going on. We're out here at the bar area. We got the TVs going on. We got the wagering tables out there, so all the windows out there. Of course, Champion Simulcast Center, so you can bet on all the horse tracks right now that are going on. I'm watching Gulfstream. I'm watching Maryland. I'm watching Belmont Park also right now here. So it's a beautiful thing. So we'll be out here for a few hours. We'll be out here till 4 o'clock. We got a loaded show for you today on the program. Anthony Chang is going to join us here from the Miami Heat. He covers the Heat for the Miami Herald. He's going to join us at 1:30. Patricia Triana, she is fantastic, covers the NFL and the Giants for Sports Illustrated and Giants Country. She's going to stop by at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, Nui Scruggs is going to join us. Nui does an excellent job. He covers the Cowboys and the Mavs for NBC there in Fort Worth, Dallas area. So we'll talk to Nui about certain things going on with both teams. Obviously, Cowboys and Mavs, a lot of headlines coming out of there. 3:30, Frank Openizo is going to stop by to talk a little Inter Miami. So we've got plenty of stuff to talk about today on the program, plenty of guests today on the show. And again, like I told you, we're every Friday now, we're back here at Hialeah Park. This is our second Friday back after they were closed for a little bit. And we've got the Belmont Steaks coming, so this is a great place to come on out, hang out, enjoy the great food, obviously, right? Bill, have you had any food yet? Because, you know, the second we mentioned Hialeah Park, you're all about food. And
yes.
You're like about food, Hialeah Park, food. While we were gone, all you could think about is coming back for the food at Hialeah Park. So have you had any food yet?
No, I've been working. Sorry, but not in the not so distant future.
You plan on having?
Definitely gonna have some food. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you can come on out here, of course, with Bill. And
you have to
stuff your
bring when
face.
you come here. You have to bring your appetite.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes, I'm with you, man. Junior's Bistro right now. They've got garden salads. They've got the hand-carved sandwiches. I actually had the turkey with the spring mix last week and the cranberry relish, which was nice. They've got the salami provolone cheese with romaine lettuce and cucumber. They've got the Black Forest ham with cheddar cheese, romaine on a baguette, which is beautiful. They've got the bowls and bistro specials, the Mongolian beef, the hibachi-style shrimp, the rotini and meatballs. I'm telling you, man, they've got all kinds of great food out here when you're at Hialeah Park. So not only will you be able to wager at all the tracks that are going on, but at the same time, you'll be able to get some delicious food out here at Hialeah Park. And we've got the Belmont Steaks. So we'll tell you about some of the stuff going on out here at Hialeah Park as the day goes on. It's a beautiful thing. I got Frank Fiore here by my side. Steve Calabro is the casino manager. He's also one of the normal characters. Today he's not going to join us, so we'll be blessed to have his presence. That character will be joining us next week. But Steve is another guy you can see out here when you come on out to Hialeah Park, and make sure you tell him that we sent you out here. Mark says Bill is tired from teardown and setup. Give him an hour to eat, Big O. He's had 2 hours, bro. We got off at 11. It's 1. He's got 2 hours. He's got plenty of time, man. Plenty of time. He's young. He's spry. It's all good, bro. You know, he'll be. Somebody's got something in there. The number 5 comes in. Let me see. Was it 5? Yeah, I think 5 beat 4. I would have bet on 4 in this race because obviously that's my favorite number. See, I don't know anything, but that's why I told you guys to come on out here today and help me out because I need some tips. Now, if you're on the chat board, like I see a bunch of you watching the show on the chat board, you got to give me some tips here on the Belmont Stakes. Who's going to win? What do I do? Who do I bet on? You know, this is important stuff. While we're out here, we got to make some money. You know what I'm saying? So if you have any tips for us, make sure you pass them on because I definitely want to win tomorrow when I'm watching the Belmont Stakes. Going to come back here and watch it tomorrow? What do you think? Come back here in the afternoon and watch it at the Simulcast Center? We could do that.
And you know what?
I mean, that's the thing. You know, you want to have space. The Simulcast Center, I mean, you can look at it behind me. Look how deep that thing is, man. You got plenty of space here. Okay, social distancing is not a problem in the ginormous Champion Simulcast Center.
You want to get a perspective of what it's like? Think the movie The Shining and how all the rooms were gargantuan,
right?
Like walking back in time. That's exactly what Hialeah Racetrack. It's awesome, man. Yeah, eclectic.
Put it this way: Marino can't hit the wall on the other side. Okay, all right. That's all you need to know. That's how big this place is. If Marino wanted to throw a bullet to the other side, it'd fall short. It'd fall short. So that's all you need to know right there. Okay, so. Come on out, plenty of space. Come with your mask. They check your temperature at the door. Everything is disinfected. Everything. How about my invention? How's that coming along? My card invention. Nothing yet on the card invention? Okay, there we go. Putting in for the patent. So that's coming too. Miami fan for life 305 says, Big O, I've been thinking about who's coming out of the Eastern Conference in the NBA. And I believe the Heat, the team with the most depth in the East when healthy. Thoughts? My brother, no. I would love to be Joe Fan and go out there and pick the Heat. Do you remember that they were like a 500 team the last like 30-something games of the season? And Tyler Hero and Myers Leonard are not the two guys that are going to put this team over the top. Are they better and healthier with those two guys? Of course they are. Are they better than the Celtics and the Bucks? No, my man. They're not. I mean, I get it. You know, fans are fans and, you know, all of that. But you have all this time off. And when you have too much time off, you overthink things, and then you kind of like start to set unrealistic expectations. And you start to convince yourself of something that really does not exist. And the Heat team that actually finished before the pandemic wasn't anything special, was around a 500 team. The other thing that I'm going to tell you, young teams don't make impacts in the NBA playoffs. Okay? Young teams get spanked and sent home. So I don't expect Miami, at best case scenario, they go one round, and that's about it. Outside of that, I don't think that they're going to do anything else. Okay?
I painted the picture that gives us the scenario. All of our young guys watching their P's and Q's and not doing anything to get in trouble, okay, stays away and don't do nothing. All the rest of the teams hang out, get together, and a massive rash of coronavirus, except for the Heat. Right. Okay?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we,
right. That's the only way.
You could dream, right?
Right, that's the only way. That's the only way. NYC Sports says, Big O, what's your opinion of Dan Le Batard? I asked because it's rumored he may leave ESPN when his contract expires. I think I've been telling you for a while he's already gone. He's gone, dude. Please. It's all right. And I love Levy. Levy's a great dude. So, got nothing with Levy. Levy's awesome. Come on. Oh, we know that's BS. Uncle Rico can make that throw. No, I doubt it, bro. You're not seeing how deep that thing is, bro. That's far away, man. It's like 70 yards downfield, bro. That's not
I was going to say it's definitely more than a half a football field, easily.
Easy.
And the thing is, the roof, it is a high ceiling.
Can't throw a bullet.
But
I said a bullet, right? I didn't say a bomb. Can't
throw
a bomb here. There's not height.
Maybe like a Jeff George or a Warren Moon.
I don't know.
That bullet, parallel.
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't think
that far?
How about a sidearm? A sidearm.
That far?
No.
Oh. No. Telling you, that far? No way. No way. Social distancing, all you can handle here at Hialeah Park. I mean, if you've ever been to Hialeah Park, you know it's ginormous as it is, of a building and a property. So, yeah, no doubt about that. Let's see, because Hero and Leonard were hurt and we're dealing with a few new players adjusting to the system. Come on. It came down to a 7-game series. I believe the Celtics, I believe we beat the Celtics and the Bucks. Miami fan for life, brother. Listen, whenever you want, okay? We make 4 appearances a week, okay? Now we're back to 4 appearances, right? VSS on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Toyota of Hollywood, Fridays, Craig's in Acura, and here, Hialeah Park, right? Miami fan for life 305. Whenever you want, bring as much money as you want. And I will bet you anything you want that the Heat have no shot at beating the Celtics and the Bucks. Okay? I mean, if you're that confident, bring it on over, bro. I would love to take your money. Okay? It's a pandemic and we can all pay bills. So come on over, bro. Bring the cash. Love to take. That's what they call easy money. Miami fan for life 305. You are what I call in Spanish, mango bajito. Okay? That's what you are, baby. Mango bajito. That is the typical fan that does not live in reality. I love my Heat and I'll be rooting for them too. But, I just don't play that game, man. I'm honest. And this Heat team still needs another star. And they need more experience. Okay? There you go.
I like the idea of sabotage in the bubble.
Right.
And giving everybody.
That's the best way. That's the best way. Get the Celtics or the Bucks, including Giannis, to have COVID and get them out. Yeah, that's – now you got them. Now you got them. All right, 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the
people are at home doing nothing. You can see some people like, it's generating. Okay, we rent a van, and we go up there and we infiltrate.
Miami fan says, dude, I'll be there. Then he follows up, no shot. Wow. Yeah, no. I know you're not going to back it up because you're not going to – You talk a good game, but you're not going to back it. You're not going to come here or any of the spots I'm at and bring the cash. But you're welcome. You are welcome to come on over, bro. Come on over. I would love to take that money. Take that money. Uncle Rico can definitely make that throw. All right, 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. Tell me when you have the Ryan Clark sound ready to go, because I want to share that Ryan Clark sound with you guys, because I saw this story and it kind of it will move you like very few stories will move you with everything going on in this world. And the battle that we're all dealing with right now Do you have that? Are we set?
I'm just going through it to make sure I don't need to edit anything out.
All right. Well,
okay?
Tell me when you have it and ready to go, because we got something going on with Ryan Clark, and his son had an incident at a Whataburger and had a racial incident where they called his son the N-word. And so it was an ugly exchange. Jordan Clark, which is Ryan's son, put out a letter about the incident. And Whataburger responded, by the way, right away. He said, "Tonight my teammates and I decided to get dinner from Whataburger. Due to the pandemic, the inside was closed, and the drive-thru was the only way to get food. My teammate approached the car with a white woman in it and asked her if she would mind ordering our food for us. We told her we'd pay, but she said she was in a hurry. So we waited for the next car and asked a younger white guy to do it for us. He had no problem with it, and we gave him the money. We sat on the wall far away from the window and waited. The woman that we asked initially eventually got to the window and proceeded to roll her window down to ask what our problem was. She then filed a complaint with the manager saying that we harassed her and he comped her meal. She then turned to us and said in a vindictive voice, 'Thanks for the free food, ends.' The store manager gave her the food and she began to drive off while saying, 'Bye, ends.' The manager was unfazed. He didn't bat an eye or think twice about what he had heard. He didn't apologize to us for it happening or show any sympathy at all. He was quick to condemn us and tell us we were wrong, quick to threaten us and say he'd call the police. I am, of course, angry, but that isn't my reasoning for this post. I wrote this to reach the people around me who have decided to remain silent on the topic of racism. Our accomplishments, character, nor the way we approached her mattered to that woman. All she saw was ends. This isn't a problem that can't be ignored or swept under the rug. This is a problem you have to take a side on. You are either condemning racism or allowing it to happen. And if you're allowing it to happen, then you're just as bad." And I gave you guys the story or the analogy the other day that, as you all can tell by the video, those of you that know me, maybe those who might be listening, just in case you didn't know, I'm white. I'm not black. And this stuff has to end, because I told you the other day, I get pulled over. When the lights go on, white people think one thing: my insurance rates are going up. That's all they think. That's all I ever think. It never crosses my mind that the cop's going to call me an N or a spick. It never crosses my mind that he could shoot me or kill me, or she could shoot me or kill me. None of that ever crosses my mind. Yet if you're black, your life is on the line. How the hell is that? Like, the cop is walking to me, and I'm pissed, and I'm hitting the dashboard. I'm like, damn, and I'm not. It's not at the cop. I'm mad at me because I know what's going to happen with my insurance. That's all I'm worried about. But a cop pulls over someone that's black. The black person has to think of all the other things we never think of. And when you hear Ryan Clark now talk about this incident with his son, and you listen to how emotional he gets about this, okay? My heart, like, just dropped to the ground while I was in my car listening to this, okay? Because no one should feel like this. Not just a father, no one in the black community. Okay? They should have the same feeling I have when we get pulled over. Oh, crap, I screwed up. My insurance rate is going to go up. That's what I'm terrified of. I'm not terrified of a gun. I'm not terrified of racism. I'm not terrified of being abused. I'm not terrified of being arrested for no reason at all. It never crosses my mind because I'm white. And I'm white and I'm a minority. And I'm not even thinking that. Okay? Because, you know, there are certain parts of the country. I got pulled over in Alabama once. The guy told me I didn't know RAS floated that far. You know? So, I mean, I've sensed it myself, too. I've gotten it. You know, Alabama True. I didn't know the RAS floated that far. I got that like 15 years ago, going to Mobile. Because I go to the Senior Bowl every year, and I got pulled over for that. And I got that once, you know, but, I mean, I've never faced I've faced racism, of course, but nothing like the black community. So I want you to hear Ryan Clark now describe this incident with his son. I want you to hear a father, okay? This is the part I want you to hear, the most part about it, okay? I want you to hear and feel and sense the father here, all right? Go ahead.
As a black man and the father of a black young man, I'm happy he's alive, period. Like that was my first thought. And then that immediately turned to anger. And what's crazy is I wasn't mad at the young lady or the woman. I wasn't mad at the manager. I was mad at myself. I was mad with Jordan. And I'm not necessarily sure that that's the right emotion to have, but nothing pisses me off more than being scared. And even though I knew the moment was over, I was still in that moment as his dad. I was still picturing, as I'm reading it, I'm still picturing what's going on. And I'm playing out other scenarios in my mind. I'm playing out a scenario of if this woman would have had a weapon and she could easily say that these three young black men were threatening her. One of Jordan's friends is a tight end. He's extremely tall. He's a thicker kid. And I believe that if that woman pulls a gun on those young men and if that woman pulls the trigger, I believe that she's never punished. I believe that justice is never served. And even if justice is served, it's not enough to bring my son back. But this isn't just a fear for me every day. This has been a fear for black people forever. My father called me to check on me last night. He obviously called Jordan the day before. And there's a story my dad has been telling around me forever. And we actually laughed at it. And it takes on new meaning for me. In 1977, my father was at a fast food restaurant with his girlfriend. His girlfriend at the time, and I know we're trying to get rid of colorism, was a fairer skinned woman, but she was black. But to the white guys in there, she was a white girl. And so they start harassing him and they're using racial slurs and calling him an N-word. And so they attempt to jump my father. And so he jumps behind the counter and he's looking for something to protect himself with, but it's a restaurant. All they had was plastic utensils. And we would laugh about that story. But he said, I never thought that this many years later, my grandson would be experiencing the same racism that I did. And so where we are in a point to where people are starting to listen, where people are starting to understand who didn't understand before, I believe that the true racists, the people with true hate in their heart, are starting to feel a little bit of the power that they felt over the last few years slip away. So they're going to double down on their racism. They're going to double down on their hate. They're going to double down on their evil. And that's what this woman did. And at the end of Jordan's statement, he kind of lists some of the things that he thought about himself and said, to this woman, I was none of those things. His entire life, he has grown up as my son. And it was my job to put him in better situations than my parents could put me. So he grew up in very affluent areas. He went to schools that were predominantly white because those were the schools that I felt could give him the best opportunity to succeed. But he was always treated as Ryan Clark's son. And he's faced racism and he's heard the word, but it never affected him in this way. And I felt like I didn't prepare him for this situation enough to know as a black man, you can't walk up to cars. You can't wave down cars with white people in it because your life is not of value to all of them. And so I'm blessed that my child is still here. If something would have happened to him, it would have broke me. And so for me, I got to do a better job of educating him, and I got to protect him because I wouldn't know how to live if he wouldn't have made it out. And so thank you for everybody that reached out to me. And I know it's getting better, but it's not better yet, and better for everybody. And we just got to keep staying together, man, and just doing what we can.
Nobody should feel like that. That feeling right there, like he has to think about that because he could have lost his son, and a woman who acts like a just disgusting pig. And he's right, by the way. The racists right now are being challenged like they've never been challenged before. They're being exposed because of technology now like never before. There's a camera everywhere. So every time one of these racists get out of line, they're on camera, they're losing their jobs, they're getting, because it's Jean-Luc, I think, put it perfect on the chat board. He says it's not enough to be non-racist anymore. People have to be anti-racist to try to eradicate the scourge. He's right. He's right, because we've known for so long it's going on, but it was a way of life, and we always treated, you had that racist uncle, that racist grandfather, that racist friend or whatever, and you just let them be because, they're just, what are you going to do? You're not going to change them. Well, that's changing now too. Okay? Now that's not going to be tolerated anymore. Not that kind of thinking, not that kind of way of being. I mean, they just caught that gentleman, and I use the word gentleman loosely, that gentleman that was picking on the young black girl in the community that they were in the golf cart, and her grandfather lives in the area across the street, actually, from the racist old man. The racist old man is in charge of immigration. He's working for immigration. Now he won't be working there very long now that video's viral, and there were 3 girls and he picked the black girl out of the 3. It's just, and Ryan is right. The racists are now feeling the threat they've never felt before, so they're going to be louder. And because of the certain political environment that's out there, others feel like they can actually openly be hateful. So this is also going to create more of this. But it's actually a beautiful thing colliding, like I told you, because the race and the fight to create equality and to fight injustice is now colliding with the racism head on. And now the black community is no longer alone. Now everybody else is by their side because everybody sees how disgusting what's going on, and we got to eradicate it. And so now they're facing something they've never faced before. It's not just one community saying you're racist, it's the world saying you're racist. Okay? In England, in France, here, Mexico, you name it. It doesn't matter. Go look at it. Protests are going on all over the world because now finally the world has caught up and said enough's enough. And this is good because we got to make it a better place. There's no way a father should feel like I'm lucky my son's alive because he went to Whataburger and asked somebody to get food. Come on, man. Come on. All right? And we can't have what went on in Pulse nightclub in Orlando, and we can't have how we treat women, and these are the battles that are next. When we eradicate this, the next one is for LGBT community. It's treating women equally. It's all the other things that we need to fight, okay? Anti-Semitism, there's a lot of things that we need to fight in order to make this a world that we all are accepting and we're all equal. But we can't have fathers thinking like that. We can't have fathers worried like that and breaking down because the second. It's tough enough to be a parent when your child walks out and goes out. Like when my daughter goes out now at 20, we're crapping bricks every night until she comes home. Can you imagine your black child going out at any time? You're out of your mind. Can't happen anymore, man. Those days are done. Before we break and go get Anthony Chang, Cookie Vice on the Super Chat. Thank you, my brother. Jam it.
I know that, dude. Where'd you get this?
Super Chats.
Oh, gnarly. Awesome. Totally awesome.
Thank you, Cookie Vice. Says 100 respect the honesty, Big O. Have a great weekend. Thank you, sir. You have a fantastic weekend. Alex Diaz says, I am sick and tired of all these racist a-holes. I refuse to stay silent on racism and social injustice I feel for Ryan Clark. Exactly. And that's what we have to do. We got to stand
like we've
by
said
Ryan
on the
and
show.
everybody else.
Out their ass.
That's it.
Out them.
Keep the cameras rolling, man. You're busting all these people. We're posting it all over the place, and that's a beautiful thing. Anthony Chang, we switch gears. We're going to talk a little basketball, a little bubble action with Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald. Next, right here from Hialeah Park.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
back, baby. We having some fun out here at Hialeah Park like we do every Friday. Come on out and join us. Now, we normally are at the Flamingo Lounge every week, but today, because the Belmont Stakes is this weekend, the shorter version of the Belmont Stakes, we are out here at Champions Simulcast Center. We encourage you. You want to plunge your guts here on the Belmont Stakes? Come on out, man, and make a little wager. Maybe you can bet on some of the other tracks going on around the country. In fact, Belmont Park right now is racing, and you can actually lay a little wood, as they say. I'm watching Maryland. I'm watching Gulfstream. It's a beautiful thing. It's heaven. All right, let's go to Anthony Chang. Let's talk to another thoroughbred who covers the Miami Heat on a daily basis for the Miami Herald. He is Anthony Chang, and you can follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. Mr. Chang, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Big O. How have you been?
Great, my brother. Trying to stay COVID-free and working. So, you and I are some of the blessed ones that were still able to, do the thing we love even during a pandemic, which is crazy. Although you've been covering some news. Are you back on sports completely, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I was running the Herald's blog that we update throughout the day on COVID-19 for like 3 months. I was also doing Heat stuff as well at the same time, but right now they put me back on Heat full time, so that's kind of I don't have 2 beats anymore. I have 1 beat now. So
nice.
Yeah, stuff is starting to pick up in the NBA. So, it's about that time.
Anthony, basketball is my second favorite sport. Football, obviously, the pigskin is my number 1 sport. But I got to tell you right now, I fear I'm not going to see the NFL and college football. They may try, but I don't even think they'll be able to even get it done or finish the way that sport is. But the way the NBA has it structured, at first I didn't like the whole thing of the Disney employees, but I got the explanation of that third tier thing, which means they're not even ever going to see the players. So they won't even cross paths. So the way the NBA has it structured, and since you can't bubble football, I think you have the one sport that may end up surviving a pandemic as long as you could keep everybody in that bubble.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that 113-page health and safety manual the NBA teams. I think I spent like 6 hours scanning through that thing. It's very well thought out, as we all know by now, and just by the length of it, you could tell how thought out it is. Just every little detail. They obviously spent a lot of time kind of planning it out, trying to keep, make the environment as safe as possible for everyone involved. And I think they did that. Obviously, with that comes a lot of restrictions and rules that players, coaches, staff are going to have to live under for 2, 3, 4 months for some teams. So that, that's kind of the downside of it all. But I mean, in the end, number one, it's safety, right? So, players are kind of like, I'm gonna have to be without family for 2 months. I get tested every day. I can't do this. I can't quarantine for 2 days. I'm sending it to the hotel and shower in the arena. I have to go back to my room to shower. Like, there's a lot of things in there that players are like, they're still having to kind of come to grips with. But I think, like you said, number one is safety. And I mean, you can't argue that. This is them making it as safe as possible for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing that stands out to me, that they have gone to an extreme. I mean, everything from washing the basketball to anything and everything. Hell, they even said, hey, if you're going to play cards, we want you to play outside, and we want you to do everything out, some of the stuff outside, so you're not trying.
No, did you see the sorry to interrupt, did you see the card detail where they're going to have disposable decks of cards where every time they play with a deck of cards at the end of the sitting, they have to throw it away?
Yes.
It's just, I mean, just that shows you that detail. They've thought about everything. And I'm sure there'll be more rules they come up with as time goes on, as stuff, as stuff develops. I mean, we still have about another month until teams can even, get up to Orlando, and almost 2 months or a month and a half before games start. So I'm sure there'll be other stuff added to that manual as well. It's just, it's incredible, how detailed and thought out it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, I would imagine we're past the whole thing about not playing and all that, because I got to be honest with you, dude. You need to drug test the entire league if you're listening to Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard. I mean, those two flakes, really? You're going to pay attention to those guys? That there's no shot that this is going to happen, right?
Yeah, I from everyone I talked to, it's not, obviously there's still a month and a half to go, and who knows what happens in the world between now and then. But as of right now, it's not like this thing is hanging in the balance. Like it's going to happen. That's what it seems like. But I think the Kyrie Dwight Howard thing, I know a lot of people have problems with the messengers in that conversation, but I do think it is fair for players to at least raise some questions about it. And I know in the beginning, when the plan came out, it was pretty much unanimously, voted yes, and that's fine. I get that, but there's a lot of players in the league that say, well, I don't know if this is worth it. I don't know if I want to be away from family for 2 months. I don't know if I want to distract from kind of what's going on right now, with protests and Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter movement. Those are all, I get it. Like, I get that perspective. So I understand giving a voice to those players, but I think what the NBA is saying is like, okay, we get that, but you don't have to play them. If you don't want to play, we understand, we accept that there will be no punishment and you just won't get paid for the games. But we will accept the fact that you don't want to play. And I think that's been the NBA's response to this whole thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Now, I don't mind people giving their opinions, but Kyrie, when he starts saying, oh, we could start our own league, and it's like, what the hell is that? Whether that was true or not, I'm not sure. But if it did say it, it's like, dude, I get when baseball players might say, hey, let's start our own league. Not that it would work, but I get it because, you guys don't get along at all. You hate each other, all that. The NBA is the one league that, man, the owners actually really have a partnership with their players. I can't say that about any of the other leagues. It looks pretty much like boss and employee and all the other ones. And this is the closest thing to a partnership. That's the flakiest thing that I would hear. That, like, why would you even say that when you've got a commissioner and owners that actually work with their players?
No, I get that. I agree with that, Big O. I think the NBA is known, obviously, for being one of the most progressive leagues in sports, and they've done a really good job in kind of, like you said, forming that partnership with the players, where you don't see that much in other leagues, or at all in other leagues, really. So yeah, it is. I mean, it is something you don't really see this from the NBA, like a group trying to revolt against the league. But I don't know. I haven't been on the calls, but I would guess it's not a big group. I would guess the small players as kind of that's what's been reported. I think the majority of guys want to get back to basketball and think that they can use that platform in Orlando for a lot of good. There's gonna be a lot of eyeballs on those games.
Yes.
And the NBA is going to work with the players to do something. They're going to come up with some type of creative plan. It's a creative league. The players have used their voice before, and the NBA encourages it. So I think it's going to be. I think a lot of players believe that Orlando could be a good thing in that regard.
Oh, I agree. The part I disagree with is that by not playing, you think you're going to make a bigger impact in social injustice. I don't think you will. I think you'll make a much bigger impact playing the game, because you just said it, Anthony. There's not going to be a lot on, and so you're going to have the stage to yourselves. And at night, you're going to be the biggest thing out there, outside of NFL games whenever we get there on weekends. But hockey and nothing else is really going to compete with them at night during the week. So they're going to have those stages to themselves, and they're going to be able to really send some strong messages this way, with interviews, with protests, with all kinds of stuff. So I just think that, for me, it's a bigger stage if you end up playing when it's all said and done. I don't think you really do that much by being out there. Did you watch the Chappelle special?
I have not yet. I'm probably going to watch it this weekend, actually.
Oh, dude, you need to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ruin it a little part for you. I have to ruin it for you. But he slams Don Lemon from CNN, and he's kind of like busting his chops, not slamming him so much, because Don is like, where are all the big names in Hollywood? Where is Dave Chappelle? Right. Why isn't he coming forward? And Dave Chappelle goes, man, I am not talking because the streets are talking. Right now, they don't want to hear from Dave Chappelle or anybody else. They don't want to hear from stars or actors or anybody. the streets are doing all the talking. Are you watching? And it was a great point on his part that we're seeing something that is not really led by famous people. It's not Susan Sarandon in front of, some nuclear power plant, and it's not somebody here doing, we've seen some moments where famous people are there, but it's really the people are actually the ones in charge of all of this. And I thought Chappelle made a great point on that, hey, the most important people are talking, which are, the people affected by all of this, not us stars that are, live privileged lives and things like that.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I won't, if players believe that by sitting out and by not playing, they'll be able to express themselves more on this topic. I'm fine. If that's what they believe, that's fine. I'm not going to tell them how to feel or what's going to be more effective. But I will say, I think in order to pull that off and really not distract from the movement and kind of make a stance, I think it would have to be a league-wide thing, right? Like if there's a group of 50 players that don't play for that reason and the rest of the league is going on, I mean, the eyeballs are still going to be on the NBA.
Right.
So it's kind of moot at that point. So I think as long as it's not a league-wide movement where they get most of the guys on board not to play, then I don't know how effective it would be, because most people are still going to be watching the NBA, and what those guys try to do by sitting out, it won't be as effective as they probably would have wanted it to be.
Yeah, don't miss the Chappelle thing, dude. You definitely need to watch it. All right, so we've had this a little bit from some of the fans, and, listen, man, I try to be objective in all this. I'm a fan, and I love the Heat and all that, but I'm trying to be realistic here. It was a team that was a 500 team pretty much in the 30-something games after the first 24. When they went 24-8, after that, they were a 500 team for 30-something games. I forgot what the exact number. But some people have said to me, they think Miami is deep enough and now healthy enough that they can make a deep run and get to the Eastern Conference Finals or maybe even the NBA Finals. I'm thinking a round at most, to be honest, because I don't see youth ever really making major impacts in the playoffs. In the NBA, you need experience. So how do you look at it, Anthony? Everybody's been off. The Heat is healthy now. What Heat team do we see? Is it more of the 24-8 team, or is it that team that was pretty much 500 after that?
Well, it's hard because we haven't really seen this team yet. I mean, ever since they got Andre and Jay and Solomon, they haven't been healthy. Myers hasn't played with those guys, who was a starter when he was healthy. And Tyler Hero came back for one game, that last game before the season was suspended. And he, obviously he wasn't 100% yet. He was just coming back. So we really haven't seen the full cast together, which again is going to bring up the big decisions for Spo. I mean, in the rotation, you can't play everybody. So there's going to be guys left out. But again, we haven't seen what this team looks like, fully healthy yet. So I think that's going to be interesting. And, if everything, if there's no big injuries to other teams and, God forbid, nobody gets sick, I would agree with you. I think one round, and if you get to the second round, I think you consider that a success.
Yeah, good season.
At that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, good season. This is the first year Jimmy Butler and Bam made a big jump, and you have all these young guys that have kind of grown throughout the season. If you win a playoff series, which again would be the first playoff series the Heat have won since, I think, 2016, that would be a great season. But again, I mean, there's so many wild cards at play here because, will guys stay healthy? There's going to be a big injury risk because guys have been out for 4 months.
Yeah.
Will a star contract COVID and have to miss a series? Like, it's really going to be interesting to see how this plays out because there's a lot of things at play that could change a whole series, change the playoffs.
Yeah. Does Tyler know to keep his IG model outside of the bubble?
I don't know, but he's going to have to. The guests aren't allowed him to after the first round of the playoffs, so I don't know.
What'd you think of the picture he took with his girl, and he's wearing a Giannis Antetokounmpo jersey? What'd you think of that one, dude?
He quickly made. I guess he got a bunch of comments on that. He quickly made the point that it was a Ray Allen jersey. That's what he said.
Yeah, sure.
So,
sure.
I mean, we can't say the name on the back to prove it, but I'll take his word. It was Ray Allen, and he's a Milwaukee guy. Grew up there. Ray Allen played for the Heat. So that's fine. But yeah, I mean, that at first when you saw that, you're like, a Giannis jersey. That's interesting. But he said it was Ray Allen.
Yeah. Well, they're in the same hotel with Giannis.
True.
Right? Huh?
Yeah.
You know,
same hotel with Giannis, same hotel with LeBron, same hotel with Deion Waiters. A lot of interesting encounters in that hotel over those 2-3 months.
Yeah, but we're not trying to recruit Deion Waiters or LeBron James. we're trying to recruit Giannis Antetokounmpo to Miami. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no, I get.
And let me tell you, Iguodala now. You know, remember how he had to get into shape when he first got here. Now he's been off again for several months. For an older guy like that, that's also going to be a little bit of a problem and an adjustment for him too.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's tough because those guys were just starting to get a rhythm with this team. I think they were like a month into being with the Heat, or maybe even a little less than a month in with the Heat. So they hadn't been with the Heat long, and here they are. The season stops for 3-4 months, and when you come back, it's pretty much not the playoffs, but almost pretty much the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see how Andre returns and how Jay looks because Jay was playing so well right before the season was suspended. He was a big piece of the rotation. So yeah, again, like I said, like you haven't seen those guys who were playing big minutes before the season was suspended, those new guys with Tyler, with Myers. So how will Eric Spoelstra kind of shape the rotation, and especially in the playoffs when you cut the rotation to 8 or 9 guys, who's going to play, who's not going to play? It's gonna be a different team than I think we saw the first 4 or 5 months of the season.
Anthony, what happens with the insurance? What happens with these deals like Bam? Because, I talked about this earlier in the week. If Bam didn't want to play, I would completely understand why he would risk anything, because if that guy has a career-threatening like injury, he'll never see that big contract ever. And so if you're Bam, it's really risky. A lot of players, it's really risky. And even for some teams, when you think about it, my man, if some of these teams have this season where it's going to roll into next year pretty much, and you're going to have a short off season, you have a major injury, that thing's going to ruin you going into next year, and so that's going to set teams back. So everybody's taking a risk. But what about those players around the league like Bam that are on the brink of the big time deals, and this season is kind of a major risk for them? What's going on with that?
Well, they're still hoping to get the insurance from the league. Last I heard yesterday, that had not been granted yet, but they're hoping that they have a case here, and I think they do. I mean, it's such a unique situation, and look, Bam and Jason Tatum and that group of 5 guys who were drafted in 2017, like they're all on the brink of huge extensions. In Bam's case, he's probably going to get, he was getting an extension probably more than $100 million. You're going to risk that? And he says it like, a few of us talked to Bam earlier this week, and we asked him, he's like, I want to play. Don't get it twisted. Like, I want to play, but that's the point of getting this insurance. I want to play and give my team the best chance to win a championship. I want to go all out. I don't want to be in the back of my mind thinking, well, if I land here and I twist my ankle or my knee buckles, that $100 million contract is not coming. So he wants assurance that, look, I can play all out. I can go, 100%. I don't have to be worried about the injury. And I think he has a very good point, as you mentioned. But right now they're waiting to see if it will, be granted by the league. And, I think the Players Association is working on that, as we speak.
Yeah. And again, even when I said this earlier in the week, that if he would decide not to play, I completely understand. Now, there's no shot he does that because he's not wired that way.
Right.
The Heat won't recruit, won't draft, won't develop, won't keep any kind of guy that doesn't think like they do. So I understand. I know the reality of it, but inside he's got to be kind of torn by this. And Anthony, you and I know his agent must be, on fire right now about that. On fire.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's an interesting layer to this whole thing is, I don't know if the Heat would even give Bam the extension this offseason. Not because they don't want to, because he's definitely worthy of an extension. I mean, they signed Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson to extensions. at this point in their careers as well. But in order to preserve that max cap space for 2021, you have to wait to sign Bam until 2021 and let him become a restricted free agent, and then you can sign him then to a max deal. But if you do the extension this offseason, you won't have that max money to go after Giannis unless there's a trade made by the Heat to open up space. But really, the only clear way to preserve max cap space is to pass on that extension to Bam, which, again, is another interesting angle here, because now you wonder, with all the uncertainty around the league, is Bam going to demand that extension? So, again, it's going to be interesting. And, he wants that insurance either way. But the next question after that is, what will the Heat do this offseason with him?
Yeah, no, you're right about. And adding insult to injury, the pandemic will also maybe set the cap back next year too.
Right.
It may be less money than what the Heat was anticipating that they would have available down the line. So that would also hurt the Heat. So if you give Bam the money and the cap goes down, now even more limitations on Miami. Yeah, this comes.
Yeah, they would. They at that point they would not have. I mean, they still have a good chunk of space, but they would not have money for a max contract again, unless the Heat has been known to pull off some moves in the past to find room. But they'd have to carve out some significant, room to make money, make enough space for a max player in 2021. It would not be easy. Again, maybe the Heat, signs them, offers them the extension, signs them to the extension, and says, look, we're going to figure out a way to find enough space for a star in 2021 either way. But to me, the easiest and clear way is to say, Bam, look, we know you want the extension. We want you here. We're going to sign you next year, but we have to wait a year to do this, because if not, we can't make the addition to the roster that we think, is going to make this a championship contending team, perennial championship contender. So will Bam understand that? I mean, he's a guy that might, but again, we're going to have to see.
Yeah, and the Heat's been they may not admit it, but I'll throw it out there. They've been known to have their wink deals in place, so they have a. Yeah. I think they have a pretty good reputation behind the scenes that, hey, don't worry, we'll take care of you. And when they say that, it's like the Godfather, and he tells you, hey, it's done. It's done. You just don't worry about it anymore. That's it. Godfather has spoken. So that's one of those. One of
the twists of that plot too. Bam's agent, Giannis's agent, the same guy. So that's something else to keep in mind as well.
There you go. There you go, buddy. We got to hold off on Bam because we want to sign both your guys. That's because right now it's Riley trying the Jedi mind tricks on him to kind of lure both guys. So yeah, that's what. And in a way, Anthony, before I let you go, we have to root for like complete chaos in Milwaukee, right? Don't we have to root for like a terrible run in the playoffs and all that? So like he goes into the offseason scratching his head and all that. We can't have him actually have a great run or even win a title. That would not be good. That's not the carrot we need dangling, right?
Yeah. If the Heat want Giannis, and obviously that's any team's number one target in 2021. If Milwaukee wins a championship, I don't see him leaving. That wouldn't make sense. So yeah, I think in the Giannis sweepstakes, I think teams are rooting for chaos in Milwaukee to be bounced in the first round. But if they win a title this year or even next year, before he becomes a free agent, I think he's staying in Milwaukee. So yeah, I think that's a very good point.
There you go. So as you just heard right there, Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald encourages all Heat fans around the world to spread coronavirus on the Bucks. Okay, that's exactly what he just said. Anthony,
don't put that on the scroll. Don't put that on the scroll.
Follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. Catch his work there at the Miami Herald. Anthony, as always, my man, thank you for taking some time. You're a stud.
Thanks. There you go. Have a good day.
You got it, baby. Be good. There you go. The great Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald. We are out here at the Champions Simulcast Center, baby. We got the Belmont Stakes tomorrow. Champions, by the way, is offering watch and wager simulcasting of races and a full menu of tracks across the U.S., including Gulfstream, Churchill Downs, Belmont, and Santa Anita. The highlight, by the way, of the weekend will be the Belmont Stakes from Belmont Park in New York on the 20th. That's tomorrow. It's the first jewel of the 2020 Triple Crown Series, And after the Belmont, the Triple Crown Series will continue with the Kentucky Derby from Churchill Downs on Saturday, September 5th, culminating with the Preakness at Pimlico Saturday, 2 days after my birthday on October 3rd. After a 3-day weekend ending on Sunday, June 21st, Champions, by the way, will operate regularly on a 5-day weekly schedule from Wednesday through Sunday, with the first simulcast race of the day typically at the noon hour. And here at Champion Simulcast Center and Sports Bar, you can celebrate their 4th anniversary in mid-January, shortly after serving as the site for the first ever National Horse Player Championship. Bill and I were out here for that, actually. I was laughing at Bill because he really sucks at it. Anyway, qualifying tournament in the long and storied history of Hialeah Park. We hosted it out here. That's why you got to come on out to the Champion Simulcast Center. We got great events going on. We got all the big races that you can actually wager on. The Belmont Stakes is tomorrow. So get your racing form. Look up all the information you can on the internet. And then come on down here to Hialeah Park and wager away, baby, and enjoy. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Hour number 2 already is right around the corner.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we are back. It's already hour number 2 here at Hialeah Park. Hour number 4 of the day, obviously, because we started with the first 2 over at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.
Cruising right along, singing our own song.
That's right. We do 2 there. We do 3 here on a Friday. We give you 5 hours. In this hour, our friend Patricia Triana is going to join us. Patricia does an excellent job. She covers the Giants for Sports Illustrated, GiantsCountry.com for you G-Men fans. She's got the Lockdown on the Giants podcast, so she'll join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk to her. NFL, we'll talk a little Giants with her, get her thoughts on the offseason, get her perspective. She's in New York, which obviously she's got a scarier perspective than we do here. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to get her on.
Although we're trying to catch up to them.
Yes.
We're trying to,
Yes. Well,
be the epicenter for this.
Yeah. I kind of like Cuomo, man. I kind of like he was a little over emotional early on, but overall he just kind of looks like a level-headed dude overall. I don't care about the politics.
You know what? I like the way he conducts those it's just like he's sitting there in the living room talking to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, very personable. You're right. I would go with that. Let's see. Somebody's asking about Howard and Breida and who's going to start. Here's what I would tell you about all of that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because you're thinking, Mr. Herman Cueva, is old way thinking in football. Okay? Yeah, if you got Zeke Elliott, that's your starter. I get it. But in this case, I think you'll see Breida featured a lot because he's the speed guy. Howard is not a two-way back. Howard is a pure power runner. That's what he is. So I think you'll see remember, he comes from New England. So I think you're going to see a lot of some of those things, a lot of those elements that you see there here. And in a perfect world, I can see them using all their backs that are active every week. Now, will Breida be the guy that maybe has the most carries? Yeah. But could Howard be featured in a drive or two? Yeah. Is Breida going to be the guy that is going to be getting 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2? No. It'll probably be Howard. But Patrick Laird will be a guy that will take some of the pass catching away from Breida because he's very good at doing that. I don't think Patrick Laird's going to get a lot of carries because he's got Breida and Howard in front of him. And I know Balaj is kind of like the wild card. He had a good rookie year. He had a horrendous year last year. He had the kind of year that he erased everything he did in the rookie year, and he looks now in people's eyes like a complete waste. And it's normal for him to look that way because he was so bad last year. Okay, he couldn't catch a cold. Right? I mean, it was bad. Guy was dropping every pass possible. So, but then again, Breida could come back and go back to what he was doing his rookie year and even better. I don't know. Balaj. I'm sorry, not Breida. Balaj could come back from what he did in his rookie year and even improve on that. I've seen that before with running backs. I've watched running backs take a few years to figure it out. So it's not the first time. It won't be the last. And again, I want to remind you, you didn't have a good impression on Gesicki his first year. It got better after his second year. First 2 years with Raekwon McMillan, well, he blew out his knee the first year. Second year, he was coming back from the knee injury, and he looked terrible. Third year, he looked competent. Okay? So sometimes this kind of stuff takes a while to develop a little bit. But I think when it comes to the Dolphins' running game, I think it's going to be a group of guys that are jack of all trades. You know what I mean? And that's where I would tell you that, slow down. Take it easy. And don't be in a hurry to label one guy a number one because this is – I got to tell you something. You know what I look forward to? I look forward to the 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s and 4th and goals and all that stuff. You know why? Because that was like an impossible thing to convert last year. Now you got Howard. Fat Boy's going to lean over for a yard or two with no problem now. Okay? I don't want Jordan Howard as my featured back because then that limits my running game. And the defense, then I become more predictable because they look at Howard back there and it's like, okay, 99.999% of the time they're running. He's not going to catch a ball. And yeah, they'll throw to Jordan Howard a couple times a year just to try to keep you honest. But again, it's not something that, that's not going to scare you because if he's out in the open field, he's really not going to be outrunning people. Just go for his legs and bring him down. So it's not one of those things that Breida is the guy you want to be featured more. But I think it's all going to depend on the scenario, where you're at in the game, all that kind of stuff. And then that is really ultimately what's going to determine Myles Gaskins. Okay, the kid from Washington, he may end up getting more playing time. I don't know. It's really tough with running backs. Running backs are one of those. That's why they're so interchangeable. because you could draft a kid in the 5th or 7th round and he becomes your starter. You could find a street free agent that becomes your starter. That's how the running back position is nowadays. And it's very unpredictable, and it's one of those where sometimes the guy was underutilized at the certain college he was at, and now he goes here and he becomes Priest Holmes. And you're like, holy crap, he wasn't that good in college. Well, he is now. And that does happen every once in a while. You'll get the guy that will surprise you and play even better as a pro. I mean, Frank Gore was a better pro than he was a college player. He's a Hall of Famer, and he had injuries, was overweight at UM. You're like really, I think the NFL saw the Cavalier Frank Gore, put it that way. Frank went through some turmoil at UM, and he was all right, but he wasn't what you thought he was going to be. And then he went to the NFL, and he became what you thought he was going to be in the NFL, that kind of stuff. So it happens sometimes that guys, they underperform in certain areas, and especially at that position. Running back is so unpredictable, man. Yes?
Frank Gore. Brock Berlin, that Orange Bowl game against the Gators.
Yeah.
I have his rookie because he wore 32 that rookie year. UM?
Yes.
Oh, man, that game. Berlin doing the chop, walking off the field.
Greg Olson, by the way, was not a Hall of Famer for the University of Miami. He wasn't a great player at the University of Miami.
He was solid.
It wasn't great.
No.
What was he in the NFL?
All world.
Hall of Fame. So
yeah, the Bears messed up there. That's Martz. That's Martz.
That's Martz.
Never uses tight end.
They were married to the coach. It's not the Bears' fault. It's just you hired a guy that doesn't use it. So they did what he normally does. He gets rid of the tight end, or you don't play. Like when he was with the Rams, he had that guy with the really long, weird name and barely played. And it was just one of those deals. Tight ends wasn't ever much. I got to tell you something. What was funny? On my way here, I was listening to Mad Dog Radio. Was it No, I was listening to Sirius NFL Radio. And they had the voice of the Jets on, Bob Wischusen. And Bob's a good dude. He does a great job in play-by-play, all of that stuff. But he is the voice of the team. And I was kind of laughing, right, because he was making all kinds of excuses for Sam Darnold and how good and how great he thinks he's going to be. And then he started to tell the hosts on the show that the Jets, Le'Veon Bell, Le'Veon Bell had a terrible season. And that the Jets' offensive line was the worst one in the NFL. And so I'm driving in my car, right? And I'm headed here to Hialeah Park. And I'm listening to that. And I'm going, okay, this is a play-by-play guy that is overreacting, right? He is adding incredible drama to all of this. And the Jets did have O-line problems, don't get me wrong. And their running game wasn't dominant. But I'm driving there and I'm going, I can think of an offensive line that was worse than the Jets. And I can think of a running game that was worse than the Jets. Right? Who would you rather have, Le'Veon Bell or Kalen Ballage? Right? And I think you still would rather have the Jets' offensive line over the Dolphins' offensive line. The line that got rid of their left tackle right before the season started? That line? So he's talking about how they made some moves now and that Sam Darnold's ready to take the next step and because he didn't have enough help. So I'm driving, right? And I'm just going off, whatever memory I have left at 53 here. And I go, I would gamble that Fitzpatrick was as good as Sam Darnold last year in the worst conditions in the NFL. So I got here, and I prepared really quickly, and I pulled up the stats, right? Sam Darnold threw for 3,024 yards on 61.9% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 13 games started. Ryan Fitzpatrick started 13 games also. Threw for 3,529 yards to his 3,024. Completed 62% of his passes to 61.9. Completed 20 touchdowns to 19, and both had 13 interceptions. So I was right. Fitzpatrick had better numbers in a worse scenario. And now you know why I really don't like bringing on voices of teams, because they've got no choice but to try to paint a rosy picture of anything and everything going on. And Wischusen's terrific. He does a great job, and I know he's the voice of the Jets. But Sam Darnold has been a sack of turnovers at USC and also with the New York Jets. He is the guy that last year was sitting there going, I'm seeing ghosts. Okay? I'm pretty sure I remember he is the quarterback that was seeing ghosts last year on a Monday Night Football game. Okay? And Adam Gase was all pissed because his quarterback was mic'd up, and they got that audio. And they weren't supposed to air, they're not really supposed to air the negative audio. They're supposed to air the fluff audio out of it, but they aired that one. So the guy that sees ghosts, the guy that can't outplay Fitzpatrick, is supposed to now take the next step and become great this year. I know he has the ability to play at this level. He's super talented. I get all of that. I just don't trust him as far as I can throw him. Okay? I really don't. So to me, this whole Sam Darnold thing, I found it kind of funny that, anybody that talks up Sam Darnold, I just want to tell you, he's not even better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay? And Ryan Fitzpatrick played in a worse situation. That team was torn down to the bone. Ryan Fitzpatrick was introducing himself to his offensive lineman the first week of the season. He didn't know half the guys that were blocking for him. I'm just saying, man.
So you were on your way over here.
Yes.
You're driving in your car.
Yes, I am.
You turn on the radio.
Yes, I
You're
do.
like Kim Carnes, bro.
Yes, I am. That's right. Turning on the radio. I love it.
I'm like, we're sitting here, and I'm like, is this guy doing Kim Carnes over here?
Basically. Oh, Lordy. I got to tell you, I just found it funny. You talk up Sam Darnold like he's the second. Maybe he is, and maybe I'm wrong, and, maybe Sam Darnold does become the bomb. It could happen. But I've just seen too many examples of mistakes that he constantly makes. Big O, 5 hours. This Dominican green lizard is for you. And Bill, have a good weekend. James in the Dominican Republic. Thank you, James. Appreciate you watching and keeping it locked there in the Dominican Republic. And yes, have a nice cold. Do me a favor. You're in the Dominican, right? They've got the giant Presidentes. Every once in a while you run into those 1 liter glass Coke bottles that you're like, wow, I struck gold.
It's like walking back in time.
Right, exactly. That they have Presidentes like that.
Really?
Only in the Dominican.
Oh, okay.
They don't. Those don't make it over here. They have the regular Presidente light bottles. Those are the ones that make it here. But the big ass bottle, if I'm correct, right? If you're watching out there in the DR, I'm pretty sure of it. The big ones are only there.
James is
DR.
on his way out the door to go to the store and take a picture of one of these monstrous bottles.
Yes, would be nice. Dougie Fresh says,
Stay safe, James. Thank you for listening, man.
That's right.
Remember that day we were over at VSS? He's the one that called from the DR to VSS.
Hey, listen, hopefully Guns N' Roses reschedules that appearance in the DR at the Hard Rock, and we'll see you out there, bro. I'll treat you to Presidente. Dougie Fresh says, you left one important stat out comparing Darnold to Fitz. How many teammates would want to have a beer with their QB? Darnold, 0. Fitz, everybody. That's not bad. That's true. That's true. And whose beer are you going to drink from? Because Darnold's got mono, so you're definitely not drinking from his beer. Okay? I mean, that's the other thing. Not only that, come on.
It's exactly what I was thinking, man.
Fitz is a man of the peoples. You know what I'm saying? Sam Darnold, he's seeing ghosts.
With all the kids he's got at home, he probably wants to go have a beer.
Yeah.
He probably deserves one, right?
I mean, Fitz at this point is developing his own O-line. I mean, that's impressive. It really is. Hard Knocks is coming back. I'm sure they'll be wearing plenty of masks on Hard Knocks. And this year, Hard Knocks is going to do something a little different. Did you hear what they're doing, Bill? Do you know what they're doing?
Actually, I'm not going to give it away. You could do that. But yes, I did read it. And yeah, a double dip. Kind of like us on Friday.
Like Friday, yeah. Friday we do 2 shows. Hard Knocks will have 2 teams this year. They will cover the Rams and the Chargers. And I was thinking about this because it kind of becomes the current disaster and the future disaster is kind of what you're covering, because I think the Rams, the wheels are already now starting to come off McVay and everything that went on with this team the last couple of years. I think Jared Goff got exposed. I think they spent way too much money on some of their players, and they ended up losing and having to trade some players away. I think their window closed now. And I think this is the year that by the end of the year, the Rams are going to be thinking about a lot of changes and what they're doing. I would not be surprised. I don't know if they'll keep McVay or they fire him, but if he stays or whether he stays or goes, it doesn't change. I think you're going to see them make sweeping changes one way or another. Okay? Anthony Lynn on the other side, that poor man is involved in a disaster with the Chargers. A team with no fan base, a team with no city, one of the 2 or 3 worst owners in football in Dean Spanos, a guy that everybody hates. Okay? They don't want him there in Southern Cal. He's a tenant in a building. I mean, there's all kinds of disasters going on. And I know they've got Tyrod Taylor, and I'm a huge Tyrod Taylor fan. I love the kid, but I don't think he's ever going to be a really good quarterback. I think he'll be a backup at best and a guy that's going to get you in trouble when you have to count on him to be the difference maker. Okay? I just don't see it in him. And they drafted a kid in Justin Herbert that I was terrified if the Dolphins drafted him. And I told you that. I told you I was going to be terrified if they drafted Justin Herbert because I don't buy Justin Herbert at all. I don't think he's wired to lead men. So to me, I just want to tell you that I think you might be getting some interesting material now on Hard Knocks because, you know, if the team is really good and they got things going and it's all rah-rah and all that stuff and there's no turmoil, it's, you know, we love train wrecks in this country. That's why the Kardashians have their own show for so many years. We love train wrecks. It's just the way it is. Jersey Shore, 16 and Pregnant, whatever it is, Bachelorette, Bachelor, all these train wreck shows. We love them. That's what we watch. I don't watch, but most of America likes to watch that crap. Housewives of Orange County, Housewives of Atlanta, Housewives of all disaster shows. All train wrecks, all people ripping into each other and fights and all kind. This is what we like. And so I think with the Rams and the Chargers, you're kind of getting the beginnings of a lot of that. You know, well, the Chargers are currently in it. The Rams are going into it. And I think they're going to have enough adversity that, you know what, it might be entertaining. Now, those two would be better next year. Because by next year, they will be like officially disasters. Okay? And you also wonder, did they do this because of COVID? And they said, well, wait a minute, we got to do 2 teams. Let's target LA because they're both in the same stadium, same vicinity. And if COVID strikes one team, we can focus on the other. And it's kind of a backup plan. Because that's the other thing I was thinking about. What's the advantages of doing 2 teams? Normally, 1 team, 1 show, you kind of get to know everybody, right? The fringe guy that people love, and they're wondering, will he make the team or not, right? Because every Hard Knocks has that 1 or 2 colorful dude that you fall in love with his personality and all that, but you kind of know he's not great at football, but he's kind of borderline, and he's the guy that kind of makes the team or practice squad or whatever, and you're, the underdog, the American way. We love rooting for the underdog, that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, okay, well, those are the kind of stories that you get hooked to. Why would you have 2 teams? And I'm thinking COVID. They're trying to protect themselves too, because if it strikes an entire team and you shut it down, you lost your Hard Knocks. The chances of losing 2 teams, you might make it for the 5 weeks. You might be able to get all 5 weeks in. It's interesting. And good for HBO. That means they hired twice the film crew. So more people got work. Because you got to film both of them all at the same time and then obviously mix whatever you can from the good and the bad. All right, it's 2:30. We promised you Patricia Triana is going to join us to switch gears. We're going to talk a little NFL, talk a little Giants with her. Yes?
I just wanted to ask, have you actually watched Hard Knocks?
Every year.
Really?
Every year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every year, every episode, dude. Yeah, bro.
Okay.
I'm a football nut, man. Of course. I watched the one on the Browns that was it was not Hard Knocks. It was the one that they did Stars or whatever. Yeah, man. Anything football I watch.
Okay, I'm looking at it as like the soap opera of football, and they're like, yeah,
no, man,
that's
no.
okay.
I'm all about man.
I'm gonna watch
football.
Wrestling. I'll watch Roman Greco. Olympic, not WWE.
No. There's stuff there, but there's some
stuff. Okay,
yeah, man. There's some substance there, and you find out about stuff. Yeah, no, definitely. I love Hard Knocks. Actually, I think it's great television. I think HBO does a phenomenal job with it, making it as interesting as possible, even when the team isn't that interesting. They still do a pretty decent job overall of doing it. I love Hard Knocks, bro. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's take a quick break. Patricia Triana is going to join us next. We talk a little football with her right here on The Big O Show.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the
All right, we are back, and we promised you Patricia Triana would be kind enough to join us, Giants writer. You can follow her on Twitter, like I and so many others do, at Patricia_Triana. Catch her work at SI and, of course, at GiantsCountry.com. And if you're a fan of the G-Men, you got to, of course, listen to her podcast, Locked on Giants Podcast. Let's bring her aboard. Patricia, good afternoon.
How are you, my friend?
I am doing exceptional. Can't complain. Staying COVID-free. How's it been for you over there in New York? How's that whole COVID stuff? Because you guys obviously got a much stronger wave than we did.
Yeah, it's been kind of surreal. You know, it's they're starting to open the state up a little bit here in New Jersey, and the thing is now trying to get used to wearing a mask when you go out. That's really been, for me, it's been hard, but I've been practicing a little bit at a time each day, and hopefully by the time I have to go out and start covering football, fingers crossed, I'll have that down pat.
All right, so I would imagine you're wearing a Locked on Giants podcast mask, right? I mean, that's you got to be promoting the podcast, right, at the same time.
You know, you would think so. I hadn't thought about that, actually, but I might have to look into getting a customized mask that promotes Locked on Giants and Giants Country.
There you go. I love it in Giants Country, too. There you go. You got to get it done. Patricia, with all this craziness, you know, I love the way the NBA is doing it in the bubble, and they got a shot. Obviously, with the NFL, it's impossible to do a bubble with the amount of people that there are in each team. I want to be positive. I want to hope that the season's going to happen. I just have a hard time thinking that you're going to be able to control all of these players. I mean, look at Zeke Elliott. Zeke was at that party with Dak, and Zeke was at those workouts. And then when we hear about the Cowboys and the Texans that tested positive, Zeke was one of those guys. And I think it's going to be even worse, Patricia, at the college level to control 90, 100 kids per school. That's impossible, I think. How do we do it at the NFL level?
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's funny. I was asking my husband about this. I said, you know, we're supposedly getting closer to a vaccination medication, but we're not there yet. So we were talking about it, and we said, look, right now people are more aware of the virus, whereas maybe back then people were under the misconception that, oh, it can't happen to me because I'm young and healthy. And we, of course, now see that COVID doesn't, you know, discriminate based on age or anything like that. So I think, you know, the fact that people are more aware of it, I think the fact that there are more precautions going in, you know, with hand sanitation, with wearing masks, with social distancing, I think if people, you know, follow those guidelines, hopefully that will at least slow down the spread of the virus. Now, I know that's impossible, you know, when you're talking about a contact sport. I did see a picture on Twitter the other day of a mask that kind of reminded me of like one of those Star Wars helmets that you see.
Like Darth Vader? I thought that was, like the Stormtrooper?
Yeah, Darth Vader. So I'm wondering how they're going to breathe out of those things. But, you know, the good thing about it is there's still 3 months to go before the season starts. A lot can be potentially learned from the scientific community and the medical community about this virus and how to, you know, maybe slow it down, or, you know, who knows, maybe they'll come up with medication or some kind of way to, you know, get all over this so that, you know, if somebody does test positive, they can nip it in the bud before it turns into a full-scale issue.
Yeah, I would imagine with football, they've got to be testing every day because of the contact and you talk about the helmets and all. These guys are gonna be breathing on each other when they tackle, and they're on piles all over. I mean, this is football for me, and hockey would be the other one. That'll be, you know, really difficult because of all the collisions that go on with those sports.
Yeah, I mean, there are challenges. Let's not kid ourselves. But, you know, you listen to the doctors in the sports, and they say, look, we're going to have positive tests. And by the way, I don't know if you saw the news, but just a few minutes ago, news came out that one member of the 49ers tested positive from a group. So there are going to be, you know, positive tests. The idea is to quickly identify them and take the necessary precautions, which would include isolating the individual or individuals, making sure that you monitor them so that they don't develop a severe respiratory issue that requires hospitalization, and just, hoping that it doesn't spread. I know it's a challenge, but the NFL apparently is confident that they'll be able to get it done, even though I don't think they have a firm plan in place.
And we're talking, of course, with Patricia Triana, does an excellent job of covering the Giants on a daily basis for GiantsCountry.com and SI. And, of course, if you are a Giants fan, the Locked On Giants podcast is a must-listen, so subscribe and listen. Patricia, when you look at the Giants now as an organization, what's going to happen with social injustice? I think we're going to see players kneeling in every team. I wouldn't be surprised if entire teams are kneeling in support of their black teammates that are trying to fight the social injustice, because it's a beautiful thing watching the rest of the world get behind the black community here on this. So what do you think? What do you predict for the Giants organization? How will they handle this?
Oh, I have no doubt in my mind that they are going to peacefully protest. That will probably include kneeling, and you'll see probably the entire team do it, including the coaching staff. I had a chance to speak with head coach Joe Judge this week on one-on-one, and he didn't want to come right out and say what the team would do, because he said, look, we're going to continue to have discussions as a team. But he did say, I'm going to support the players. We as an organization are going to support them. And they're not just going to, kneel to make, before the national anthem and whatnot. They want to be more involved actively with organizations that can be change agents, so to speak. So, whether that's, I don't know, on their day off, for example, going down and being a part of a round table or contributing financial or other types of resources. Judge told me that, they really want to make a difference. They're not going to just simply do something for show and not do, and let that be the end of it on a Sunday. They want to get out there. They want to represent the community, and they want to make the community in which we live, a better place to live.
Can I give you a Homer point of view right now for a second, Patricia?
Sure.
With everything going on right now, I wonder why people aren't talking more Stephen Ross. Here's the man that created the RISE program after the whole Bullygate thing and everything that went on. And obviously that's also fighting racism too. He then hires a black general manager who hires a black head coach, and he is actually the shining example for the NFL and how they, not that you have to go hire minorities and you're forced to it, but there's a guy that did it without this crush that's going on now, because you and I know now it's going to become kind of in vogue almost. You know what I mean? It's almost like, Biden is, he's set on getting a woman now, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things that it's a category you need to fill because it's going to help you in this. So we know that people are going to do it now because it's kind of in vogue, but Stephen Ross did it because he thought that was the best candidate at that moment. And I'm wondering why people aren't talking more about the owner and saying, well, look, what the NFL wants to do and what direction they're going in. Maybe people should focus at what the Dolphins did. This is what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we tend as a society to talk more about what people aren't doing versus what people are doing. And I just don't think that's fair. It's kind of like, with the NFL, the people the players that make the headlines always seem to be the ones that get in trouble or do something controversial.
Amen.
But yet the guys who, are out there and quietly trying to make the world a better place, they don't get their just due. And I never did understand that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's crazy because I get it that we all have to make progress as a society. I know the league has to make progress and all of that, but I'm kind of, and I know it's, like I told you, I know it's kind of a Homer point of view, but I think I'm being objective that man should get a little love around the league. And I think writers should write about him and people should talk about what the Dolphins are doing, because if you want progressive I don't think it gets more progressive than that. And I don't think there's a more shining example right now. I hope it works, because one of the things I talked about on my show last month, actually, even before all of this started, I was talking about this. Patricia, think about this. You know it because you cover the league. I've been covering it for 30 years. Minorities have been getting the short end of the stick. Right now, every minority coach is rooting for the Miami Dolphins, because if Chris Grier and Brian Flores have success, you and I know it becomes a copycat league. And they say, oh, okay, yeah, no, I can trust a minority now. I can draft them as a quarterback. I can draft them as a middle linebacker. We have to progress to the point that, hey, I can add him as my general manager, as my head coach. So there's a lot riding on what the Dolphins are doing. I know the movement now will help, but I thought a lot of minorities, even before this movement, were looking at Miami going, man, we need this to succeed. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of minorities secretly are pulling for Chris Grier and Brian Flores.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of other people, you know, white people, you know.
Ron Rivera's, yeah, I get you. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, why limit it? I mean, look, what the Dolphins are doing is tremendous, you know, and we need more of it, absolutely. And, you know, I hope, fingers crossed, that we start to see more of that happen in the league, because, you know, it's just, for years, I just never understood it, you know. It's like there are plenty of qualified candidates out there. You know, you look at what happened with Eric Bieniemy, for example.
Yes.
I mean, that to me was an absolute disgrace that he didn't get a job. I mean, the man ran a potent offense. I mean, I just don't get it.
You know, what's the worst part about it? The most indicting part about all of that is all the white guys they came off that tree have gotten jobs and have had success. We're not talking about a rotten tree like Belichick's that almost everyone that falls off doesn't work out. Those branches break off and they're not good. No, the Andy Reid branches become trunks. Okay? And so you figure, okay, wait a minute. Everybody else is having success with Andy's guys. Let me go steal another Andy guy. And yet this is the guy that gets passed over. And this is the image and the optics we want to avoid.
Yeah, I don't understand it, guys. I wish I had an answer for you, but, you know, hopefully, you know, Eric Bieniemy will get his chance at some point soon, because I just think it's an absolute travesty that he did not get, you know, a head coaching job.
No doubt. All right, Patricia, before I let you go, unfortunately, I do got to ask about one negative. Gettleman, everything going on, the cornerback that got in trouble. What's the latest? How's the environment going on? Because I know G-Men fans aren't necessarily happy with Dave all the time here.
No, I mean, people are going to point fingers and find things to pick on Dave Gettleman about, especially after he gave this whole big speech about, you know, culture, winning culture and everything like that. The latest involving DeAndre Baker is really there hasn't been anything new. I mean, he's been asked to stay away, you know, so that he can focus on his legal issues and getting those resolved. And the last I saw, his attorney was doing interviews talking about how he felt confident that the charges would get dismissed and whatnot. And, you know, that was, I want to say, last month. So it's been all quiet on that front. But I will say this about DeAndre Baker. The more time he misses, and right now the Giants offseason virtual program is done for veterans. So he missed a lot of time, and you have to sit there and wonder, okay, is he going to be able to come in and contribute, even if he is cleared of everything and doesn't receive any kind of suspension or penalty by the NFL? And I'm not so sure that's going to be the case.
Yeah, and we don't know anything more about this, right? How much he really was involved or not, or all that other stuff, right? None of that's come to light yet, right?
No, none of that has. I mean, there's been, I think, I haven't been following it, admittedly, as close as I probably should, because this happened really, most of the bulk of it happened last month. So that's why I'm a little, sound like I'm a little behind on stuff.
Plus, you don't have any access. I don't even know how you can follow up, Patricia.
Well,
right?
you can reach out to attorneys and insiders and stuff like that, but really, there's, you know, it's a case of no news is good news, I guess. You know, DeAndre Baker's out on bail, and, you know, his attorneys has said that, he's been scared straight, that he's committed, he's working, excuse me, he's been working out to get himself in an ideal condition. But I just wonder, again, because with the team telling him to stay away while he resolved his legal issues, how much did he miss and how much is that going to hurt him? I'm not so sure he's going to be on the Giants and able to play this year. They might put him on a reserve list or maybe a commissioner's exempt list or something like that. But I would be absolutely stunned if he is part of the mix. Even if he does, even if he's exonerated, he's just missed so much time. It's going to be so hard to catch up on all that stuff.
Great stuff as always, Patricia. You are the best. Follow her on Twitter, by the way, at Patricia_Triana. Catch the podcast, Locked on Giants podcast, and of course, catch her work there at GiantsCountry.com and SI. Patricia, you are awesome. You stay safe, and as always, thank you for the time.
My pleasure, guys. You stay safe as well.
Thank you. There you go. The great Patricia Triana, as always. Pure class, man. She does a great job, as always, covering the G-Men. Interesting. That arrest for a second-round pick, a year removed. I mean, for Gettleman, he must. I don't think anybody could reach for a kaopectate bottle faster than Dave Gettleman right after that arrest. That must have just absolutely freaked him out. All right, 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, you can also reach out to us on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. Follow us there as always, because that's a 24-hour talk show. Remember, you can reach out to us also on email, orlando@bigoradioshow.com. Here's a funny story, and you guys are going to laugh at this story, okay? Ladies and gents, get ready. You will be entertained with this story because you know a little something about at least one of the individuals, no, actually two of the individuals on this team. The Browns passing coordinator and receivers coach, Chad O'Shea. We all remember Chad O'Shea here with the Dolphins, don't we? He believes he can keep Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry happy in a run-oriented, talented, loaded offense. Okay, are you ready again? One more time. Chad O'Shea believes he can keep Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry happy in this run-oriented, talent-loaded offense.
I understand why Flores got rid of him.
Oh!
All the pieces are falling into place, right? I mean, this guy's full of it.
Does he know Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry? Does he know those guys? Didn't he play with Jarvis Landry? He says that they're buying into what Kevin Stefanski is selling, according to Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Mary Kay does an excellent job of covering the Browns. But that is funny, dude. Odell Beckham has had 2 terrible years, right? The guy has not scored a lot of touchdowns the last 2 years.
Oh, but he puts on a hell of a show before the game.
He just got, I think he barely got over 1,000 yards last year and a couple touchdowns. Not many, like 3 or 4 or something.
I think it was 4 and just barely over 1,000.
Yeah. He didn't have he's had 2 bad years, actually. 2 down years for him.
Pedestrian by what that guy should be doing.
He's the guy that really probably wants to come back and have a month because if he has another mediocre year, people are going to say, hey, it's 3 years. Beckham is done. That's that guy you saw early. And, all we get to see is that one highlight with the one hand. That's all they show. It's like watching Jadeveon Clowney hit the Michigan running back over and over and over and over again. It's like, dude, how many times are you going to show me that highlight? I get it. It's a great highlight. But it's Jadeveon Clowney never became the player that we thought he was going to be then. And Odell Beckham was that player early on, but the last 2 years he hasn't been. So it's a run-oriented offense. He goes on to say, we're going to try to put the team first and we're going to try to put winning first, O'Shea said on a Zoom call. They realize that. They embrace that. They're also aware that the other players at other positions that will help us win games and who are capable of really helping us, everybody's role is kind of what you make it. I see it as a real good problem to have when you have a lot of opportunities and a lot of players that can really help us win. Well, let me tell you something, Chad O'Shea. If your quarterback can't get the ball to the playmakers, these are the kind of guys that they won the game, but if they have 44 yards and 2 receptions, they're pissed. Okay? Jarvis Landry is a guy that wants to catch the ball all the time. Odell Beckham is a guy that wants you to throw him the ball all the time. And the track record has been that those guys complain when they don't get what they want. I'm not sure what teammates he's talking to, but then again, it's Chad O'Shea. You know what I mean? Stefanski, by the way, says, I'm just extremely excited. I believe very strongly in O'Shea. One of the reasons I believe very strongly in him is because of the value that he places on the team concept. I understand that in every decision that he makes, and I know him, he's going to put the team first, and he's going to really support the players on this team and have their back. That's the start of it, having a leader that really believes in the team concept. From there, everybody follows. O'Shea then says they've really taken advantage of the opportunity. They've made a lot of progress. They've certainly made improvements. And again, the goal is at some time that we're able to throw and catch the ball around. But at this point, they're just following the plan that's in place. I mean, talk about a situation that is going to blow up. That's one right there that's going to blow up. Because one, the quarterback kind of got exposed last year. Okay, they figured out what side he likes to roll on, roll with, one side or the other, and his strengths. They also figured out, the coaching staff didn't figure it out, but he's not good as a pocket passer. You got to run him with a lot of boots and waggles. You got to put him on the run because he's also short. So you want him seeing the whole field. So you need to move the launch point. And because he's not a great athlete, as you saw a cop catch up to him when he was drunk at Oklahoma, since you know he's not a great athlete, you got to move him around. And you got to keep the defense guessing. Because he's not Pat Mahomes, he's not Russell Wilson, he's not even Ryan Tannehill in moving around. He doesn't have even Ryan's athleticism. Okay? There's a lot of factors here that, to me, I find it humorous to think that those guys are going to play nice. You know what I'm saying?
These guys are in denial, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, no doubt.
It's like this guy's never seen Jarvis Landry or Odell Beckham, ever.
And he coached Jarvis Landry here, so it's like, you know. Super Boom Shack drops the bomb on the Super Chat. Nice.
What the hell?
Super Chat.
That took guts. We need guts.
I told you I can totally Super Chat.
So you think you got what it takes?
You have no skills.
This is permanent.
Good job.
I'm promoting you.
You got a lot of problems, don't you? Take pride in that.
Super Boom Shack dropping the big Super Chat. Thank you, sir. In honor of your shirt, this Super Chat is sponsored by a crappy movie with a great soundtrack, Xanadu. There you go. Thank you, O and Bill. He's right. Xanadu is a crappy movie with a very beautiful woman, because you got to admit, she is beautiful, right? I mean, Olivia Newton-John is gorgeous.
Yeah. No doubt.
Stunning woman with the worst luck in the world, right? Her husband disappears, breast cancer twice, I think. I mean, it's just, can we give Olivia Newton-John a break, please? Please? Just a little break. Anyway.
In her time, she was the number one female.
Oh, dude, definitely.
She had loads of hits.
Country and pop. Because remember, she came out of country. That's, Olivia Newton-John was country.
She came out of hee-haw?
Well, kind of. Kind of. You know? And then she grew up to be the bomb. But you're right. You are right, Super Boom Shack. Xanadu is a great soundtrack, and it's a crappy movie.
Yeah, but
Okay?
it's still a cult.
Yeah, no, it's a cult classic. I get
Whenever
it.
it's on, I have to watch.
Yeah, you gotta watch Swan from the Warriors.
What's the scene where he goes into the production thing?
Right, isn't it
suddenly,
Swan? Swan,
yeah.
isn't
Oh
it,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
What's the Swan's name? Michael? Is it Michael? Michael something? Michael
Is it
Becker?
Is it Beck?
It's with a B.
Yeah, Beck.
I want to say it's something with a B. Anybody got it out there? Let me see if I can cheat here.
Go ahead and Google.
Swan from Warriors. I think it's Beck. I think it's Michael Beck, I want to say. Let's see. There we go. Where is it here? Swan from the Warriors. We have, oh man,
They're talking about Ajax and his 48 hours.
Yes. Trying to look for the damn name at the same time. What is it? I think it's Beck, man.
That's what I thought it was.
Let's see. Oh, God. All right, here we go. There we go. Now I got it. Let me just Wikipedia it. And, the Wikipedia will tell you everything you need to know. Right? Pretty much. Michael Beck. I was right. Michael Beck. James Remar, Deborah Van Valkenburg.
Between ELO.
Too Close for Comfort.
What's the song? Suddenly the Wheels Are in Motion.
Right,
you know that?
Yes.
I love that song.
Right.
You know what, man? That's Couple Skate. Back in the day when we were kids, right? Couple Skates, bro.
Yep. Draco says, I hear Xanadu and immediately think of a Canadian trio hardly anyone knows. There you go. I love it. I love it. You guys are a trip. Absolutely. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. Nui Scruggs is going to join us. We got to talk a little Cowboys and talk a little Jerry Jones with Nui Scruggs. And we'll talk a little Mavericks also and NBA. Nui covers all of that for NBC in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Nui Scruggs, join us next.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021 at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All right, we back. Hour number 5 on the program. We promised you Nui Scruggs would be joining us, working in NBC in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, covering the Mavs, covering the Cowboys, covering everything that goes on in sports. And I will tell you this, I will promise you this, Nui is one of the best follows on Twitter. He is awesome on Twitter, so follow him at Nui Scruggs. You will enjoy the follow. Nui, good afternoon, my friend. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Happy Juneteenth.
Yes, sir. Happy Juneteenth, man. So you tell me, my man, speaking of Juneteenth, I was kind of going to wait a little bit on that, but I'm just wondering, how is the buildup going for Jerry Jones right now? Because, he was so quick to call the players out for kneeling and pulled that crap that night where he had them all kneel with him and all that. And, everybody's been calling him out, including Stephen A. So I'm wondering, how is the atmosphere locally compared to what we're hearing nationally?
Definitely people are wondering and waiting, when will Jerry Jones, the man who said he'd fire any player who did not have their toes on the line and hand on the heart and respecting the flag, what will he say now at 77 years old? What will he do? So some of the times, as we're looking for words, we can forget to also look for action. Today is Juneteenth, and everybody in the organization was given the day off as a holiday. Greg Ellis, who's gone down as the player the Cowboys drafted instead of Randy Moss back in 1998. Greg has co-written and been putting on a play for the past 3 years called Juneteenth. And the Cowboys this year helped Greg in terms of awareness and helping him promote his play. The NFL also, the Cowboys also told the NFL what Greg was doing in the NFL. Ended up helping Greg his promotion for his play as well. So, while silent, Jerry has been doing things behind the scenes, and I'm just going to be very interested to know, as we go forward, what will Jerry's stance be? What will be is that next big thing that we haven't heard from Jerry yet, and we're all waiting on it.
Nui, but at this point, it's going to sound like a Mike Gundy apology. It's going to sound phony, right? I mean, because with this whole thing going on, like Drew Brees. Like, I look at him different than I look at Mike Gundy. Like, Drew Brees, for me, is a decent human being that had the wrong point of view, not a racist point of view. And he changed it, and he understood it, and he apologized profusely. His wife apologized. Like, you look at Drew Brees, at least for me, in my eyes, I see a guy that truly is hurting by what he said. I look at Mike Gundy, and I think he's a phony. I think he is racist. I think he knew what that OAN shirt meant. I obviously the story with Alfred Williams came out from 20 years ago. So I look at him differently than I look at this. When I look at Jerry Jones, and you already mentioned what he said in the past about all of this, there's a sense of phoniness now that takes over the situation. Am I wrong for looking at it that way?
I understand how you see it that way. I can. And I've said to people a lot of times, if you live in a different place and you're not around to get to see Jerry the way I see Jerry, I've been around Jerry for over 20 years. I can understand it. I can understand why you don't like him. And the same thing with Mark Cuban. If you're not around Mark Cuban, I can understand why you don't like him, because you see a lot of the showbiz. But when it comes to, is Jerry Jones a racist man? No, he's not. Because you haven't seen or heard, and I have a lot of conversations with these guys who still live here, and not just the stars, but guys who still live here, who have been helped by Jerry Jones. Take Nate Newton, for instance, all right? Nate Newton went to jail for selling drugs.
Yeah.
Now, anybody who's black getting out of jail with a felony like that, you can't find a job. Right. Jerry Jones put Nate Newton back on his radio and his other platforms, television. He put him back to work. And, as I said, Nate wasn't going to be able to find a lot of good work. But here he is, and he helps him rehabilitate his image. I mean, Nate Newton's wife came out and wrote a book and talked about how, some of the issues they had domestically with each other. But, yeah, here's Jerry still working with a Nate Newton. If Jerry was, a guy who was a bad guy, who was a closet racist, you'd have heard this from some players, but you have not. On this issue, he is behind. And that's why I say it's going to be interesting to hear what he has to say as a 77-year-old man. How do you feel now? And have you been enlightened at all? And until I hear from him, I'm not going to condemn him, because I can say this. I have seen what this man has done for black people, black players, and like I said, people in general. I know one fan that Jerry has taken care of through his own pocketbook and not put it out there, who is black. So that's why I say I can see where you're sitting at and how you feel. But I'm telling you, I've seen this man operate and what he has done. And
so then why allow the optics to fester? You know what I
don't
mean?
know.
Okay.
And this is a conversation Clarence Taylor of the Star Telegram, which covers the team, the longest tenured current Cowboys beat writer out there, goes back to the 90s with you. We sat there together like, we don't know. We're trying to figure it out. And Clarence did say this. He said, I'd rather Jerry not say anything, and then when he comes out and says something, rather than him do one of these hostage videos and just come out here and say any old thing. But he knows when he comes, people are going to be very interested. You know, people were giving Dak Prescott a lot of grief around here because Andy Dalton hit on social media and said something. Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, a bunch of quarterbacks who came out and said something about policing systematic racism before Dak Prescott. And when Dak Prescott did come out, he had a statement, and Dak brought $1 million check. So a lot of people can talk about things, but it's going to be some action. And what are you going to do? And that's your questions are legitimate, and I'm waiting too. We're going to ask him the same. We are going to ask. Jerry knows when he comes. We're going to ask the questions. What took so long? You know, silence is sound. But most of all, and to me, the most important thing is: are your players going to be free to do whatever they want to when the national anthem plays? Are you firing guys? Where do you stand?
At Nui, I can't see any owner at this point, knowing the optics, knowing what's going on in the world, not just in this country. They're protesting in the world for social injustice, for the mistreatment of the black community all over the world. So this is not the point. This is not the time to fight this. I can't see one owner being that ignorant in doing that. Can you see one?
You know what? Nothing surprises me anymore. Okay, it doesn't.
You're right.
Is there an owner out there who feels like, hey, I don't agree? Yeah. Is there an owner going to be bold enough to tell their players, don't you do anything? We'll see. Okay, let's not act like we're not going to be shocked by things that come out of people's mouths, especially folks who've held positions that they've held. Everybody's not going to be convinced. Old business partner once told me, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So let us see. You're asking the questions, and let's see what he says. But at that same time, I will defend this man because I have seen the actions of what he has done for over 20 years for black players and black people in the black community. I have seen that, and I must make sure that's put out there as he's getting lit up by people.
And by the way, for the record,
and some of it's rightfully so too, for not saying anything.
And for the record, if Mark Cuban would run for president, I'd vote for him in a heartbeat. Okay, yeah, so I don't hate Mark Cuban. Okay, maybe when the Heat and the Mavs were playing, then I can hate him for a couple of weeks, at that moment. But outside of that, I would vote for that guy president. Okay, because I watch enough of that Shark Tank thing with my wife and my daughter who love that show, and he's a likable dude, bro. He's super likable. Super likable.
Look, Mark's done a great job of rehabilitating himself after Sports Illustrated. The show was going on in his own business, but I think Popovich and Kerr, that ticket will probably keep Mark on the sideline.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, they definitely, especially Pops, boy, he's got some fire when he comes after certain people. So, that one's actually fun. Nui, I was talking about this, and while I am white, but I'm Hispanic. But even being a minority, this doesn't happen to me, but it happens to you. And so it's disturbing as hell. And it's just, it's when we saw Ryan Clark today, and I saw you tweeted it out too. No human being should feel this way. But the fact that the black community feels this way, and I was talking about this because when we get pulled over and the lights go on behind me, do you know what I'm doing? I'm hitting my dashboard, I'm screaming, and I'm going, damn it, my insurance is going up. I'm never thinking about I'm going to die here, this is going to happen, he's going to be racist, he's going to be against me. The black person thinks all of the worst things in the world when those lights go on, you know, and to watch Ryan Clark break down in an incident that never happened because nothing happened to his son, but just the thought that it could have because of the way the situation was painted. The sad part that he says, when you're black, you can't approach a car with white people because they don't value your life on average and all of those kind of things. It just, I got to tell you, it blew my heart up to listen to Ryan Clark today talk about the experience his son went through in that Whataburger.
But this is what black parents have gone through for a long time. You have these worries. My father is from Birmingham, Alabama, and if you've ever seen video of the hoses, the police, and the spraying the hoses on people and the dogs, that was Bull Connor. He did it in 1963. My dad was 16 years old, and he was one of those kids in that Children's Crusade March that Dr. King led, which landed King in jail. My dad went to jail, too. They kept him in jail for 6 days. And that was really some of the things that helped lead to the Civil Rights Act that came about in 1964. So I'm raised by that man and what he went through and how he lived through Jim Crow. He told me, he says, I was an adult before I ever got to go to a pizza place. He said black people couldn't go get a pizza. There's no pizzerias open for us in Birmingham, Alabama. But those are things that, you know, what Ryan Clark went through. These are things that you basically start to teach your kids about how to deal with the police. And you hope that when your children are in some type of situation with the police, that they can remember some of the lessons that they have to, protocol that you have to go through. In a lot of ways, you feel like, hey, you're guilty until they presume that you are innocent. And it's scary. I consistently tell my kids, when there's a little store near us where we live and they like to go ride their bikes up there and go buy things, I consistently tell my kids, get a receipt. No matter how little you spend, I said, get a receipt, because you don't know when somebody's going to accuse you of taking something in a store.
Wow.
But that's how I have to teach them as black kids. You have to be aware. And you have to make sure you're able to present. If you bought some gum, but have a receipt for it. Because if somebody says you didn't buy it, you're going to be presumed guilty before you're given an innocence.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. That's the way it's going to happen. Do you feel now as a black man that we're finally going to start making some changes?
Time. Time will either expose you or promote you. So let's see what happens over time. It's easy that people feel one way about things right now, but how are you going to feel in 2, 3, 4 months? The world consistently changes, and you can kind of get your eyes caught on something else or a new problem or a new thing. So let's see how much people are going to do it. What happens when it comes to actually changing policies and changing laws? These are when things start to go into effect, when you start to see action more, on the legal realm. And what about, true hiring? What happens when those things happen? I just look at the sports radio industry, which I love and have been a part of forever. But, the sports radio industry has been very limited when it comes to hiring women, when it comes to hiring minorities. And then when you talk about the management side of it, it's very limited when you want to talk about women and minorities. I mean, it truly is, a very white industry. Let's look at the New York Times and the Washington Post. I think their newsrooms are 71% white. So when you have a white media and decision makers who are white, it's going to be painted and slanted in a different direction, as we saw how Colin Kaepernick was treated. So people can talk all day long about the companies. Oh, we're going to be diverse. We're going to hire. Let me see it. That's it. Even the NFL. The NFL can talk all day long. We're going to give $250 million towards systemic racism. Okay, let's see when Eric Bieniemy gets a job. Here's a guy who the offensive coordinator on a team that just won a Super Bowl the year before that on a team that had the MVP. Yet he can't get an NFL job. Yet Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy from that same position under Andy Reid both got NFL jobs and didn't have the kind of success that Bieniemy did. So let's see the NFL actually go out here and back up their words when it comes to actual hiring practices. Will owners go about doing that? So let's see action, and only time will reveal whether or not we see more progress.
Yeah, we just had Patricia Triana on, who covers the Giants, and I told her that I think people around the league need to focus on our guy, Stephen Ross, here in Miami, and they need to use him as the shining example for everybody else in the NFL, because he hired a black general manager and a black head coach way before this thing started, and this craze now that's going to start, because this is now going to force some kind of a movement now, but it's forcing people to kind of adjust, whereas Stephen Ross created the RISE program and now did this, and I think the NFL should actually focus a little bit on Steven and say, hey, we need you guys to be a little bit more progressive like the Dolphins. You know what I mean? Because I think Ross deserves a little love right now, because he's kind of ahead of the curve on everybody here. He did it without politics involved, which is pretty cool.
And once again, action. The actions speak.
Amen.
And so therefore, I'm not so sure that when it comes hiring time next January, how many owners are going to say, well, we should do something? Look at me. Who knows how we're feeling like this on June 19th.
That's right.
2020. I don't know how people are going to feel in January of 2021 when owners have to sit down here and talk about hiring general managers and head coaches. Will they feel that way? There are plenty of qualified guys. I also want to make sure I say that. There are plenty of qualified black coaches. It's opportunities. And it also comes into head coaches who hire people now. Now you see this epidemic where dudes are hiring their sons. And if they're not hiring their sons, they're talking to the other coaching friends to go hire my son. Right. And Sean Payton and Mike Zimmer used to coach for Bill Parcells when and Adam Zimmer, who's Mike's son, Lil Zim used to come to camp, and next thing you know, Zim gets in the coaching industry with Sean Payton. And then when Zimmer actually becomes the head coach of the Vikings, he ends up going from the Saints, Adam does, to work for his dad. And, those kinds of things like that have also been, we see more nepotism going on in this league than you can shake a stick at. So even Anthony Lynn, who's black, is charged. He hired his son. But for a lot of folks who are minorities, having an opportunity to try and break into the field has been very tough. Yeah. That's one of the big things there. How do you get to be in the coaching industry? And then also, how do you get to be a coordinator? How do you get to be an assistant general manager so you can rise up to become a general manager? These are the issues when we talk about systematic. The system doesn't allow a lot of people the growth and the opportunity to rise up. And that is a key thing in terms of trying to get jobs for guys.
A listener's asking, since owners are in the highest position of authority, who in the NFL could ever truly challenge them to examine their concepts of race and identity?
This is where they have to listen to the players. This is where the players have to use their voice in the National Football League. Much in the same way the players in the NBA have used their voice. Look at what happened with Donald Sterling. Not just with the Clipper players, but other people in the league, and LeBron James. And that's when you have to use some of your power. We're seeing the college football players right now using their power. So the NFL players have to at some point in time realize, okay, they need to go to their management teams and go to the people that own these clubs and say, hey, look, we need to see more people here who look like me, who sound like me, who understand me, and at the same time are qualified enough to work in your organization. Dennis Thurman is a guy who's qualified all day long, a former player, a former defensive coordinator, and here's a guy that's not in this league right now. He can scout with the best of them, but he's not employed because Dennis is a guy who will tell people exactly how he feels. Right. He's the guy that gets deemed, well, he may be difficult. There's nothing difficult about Dennis, except for Dennis is really smart and he'll tell you he doesn't stand for foolishness. There are guys like that who feel like they don't have an opportunity right now in the NFL. But these are guys that more owners and general managers need to bring in because it makes your whole organization better. This is what it has to be about. You got a league where you got 70, 85% black people. At some point in time, it would behoove you to hire more folks who can understand and work with these players. And that's not to say that white coaches cannot. I'm not going to say that at all because it's not true. But with what we have today, it really gets hard to say to me that we don't have qualified guys for these jobs. And when Zach Taylor can get a job, and he's just a quarterback coach because the Bengals head coach, when Joe Judge is a special teams coach, and he can become the head coach of the Patriots, and a guy like Eric Bieniemy can't, that's when people who are black look back and just say, well, damn.
Right.
What are the games? What are the rules of this game?
Yeah, yeah. And we saw Zach Taylor here in Miami. It's a joke. Trust me. It's a joke. I mean, hell, I've been championing for Alonzo Highsmith for a while. And, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Still waiting.
Been a scout everywhere. This guy knows.
And successful.
Successful. And talked with him. Yeah, and I've talked with him during games. And the kind of things that he was telling me about what he was seeing, it's been shocking. But also, go back to this. What do we know about Zoe? Joe speaks his mind.
Yes, I know.
People have to stop being afraid of guys who speak their mind.
Right. Well, I've seen the white guy that speaks his mind, dude. Okay, I mean, I don't know how much you know about Mike Westhoff, but he coached in this league for 30 years, and he'll mother F anybody. Okay? So, I know plenty of guys, so it's, again, there's a double standard in many different ways, okay? Because there's a lot of coaches, and you know it, Nui, you've been around this like I have. There are coaches that love disagreements. They think it's super healthy, actually. There are guys that have the ego, that they check the ego and they say, you know what, I don't mind having a guy that's going to tell me something. But the problem is if the guy's black, then you've got a problem with it, and that's where it gets screwed up.
It's Cam Newton, doing the Superman after the touchdown dance, and it's Aaron Rodgers with the belt.
Discount double check. Right, yeah, right.
And so that's always been an issue. It's Gronk's having fun, and it's Gronk being Gronk, but Cam is arrogant, and he's this and that. So, but once again, it becomes back to just what we talked about: who covers the league,
right?
And who are the majority of the people covering the league,
right? Yeah.
And then their perceptions.
At least, you know what I love. You know what I love, Nui? We're having the conversation now more than we've ever had, and that's huge because you got a lot of ignorant people that weren't willing to even have the conversation. Maybe at least now we're forcing them into the conversation, but at least we're having it with some and forcing some others into it, which I think is productive either way.
This has been a benefit of Donald Trump's presidency. I mean, you think about what happened with Colin Kaepernick and then how the president reacted and then and where things have gone. And this has helped lead to the conversation that people are actually having. And there's been some pain along the way, but that's what change is. When you haven't changed, anybody who's ever tried to lose weight like me, there's got to be some pain before you see progress. And we've seen some pain the past couple of years, but ultimately I think there's some progress. While sometimes it feels hopeless, I am therefore still hopeful because there are things that can change. And there's still a lot of good people out here too. There are good people who are white who will tell you, hey, I didn't know. I have conversations with very close friends and I said, I didn't know. And that's a good thing that we can now have these open conversations and talk. And I've told my friends who have questions, I say, you got a question, come ask me. I want to be the person who helps you understand all. I want to be able to tell you what Juneteenth is about. If you don't know, that's okay. You didn't have to know, but now you know.
Right.
And then you can sit up here and have an open conversation about, yeah, guess what? This was the country where 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, slaves in Texas were still out here working for free and didn't know they were free.
Right.
The July 4th, 1776, not everybody in this country was free. But in 1865, on June 19th, everyone was free.
It's a beautiful thing. And by the way, when you talk about losing weight, you got to stop working that food, bro, because I see it on Twitter. You're always posting some delicious food, bro. You're all over it.
Well, I finally got myself back on my spin bike, so that's been the great thing. Got on a spin bike, got an hour 10 in yesterday, and then did an hour 15 minutes on Monday. So that's it. Just simple disciplines repeated over time. But hey, man, it's been great to talk to you. I'm glad you called, and you're helping your sports audience by having the conversation, and that's what we all need. And sports through the years has been a unifier and led the way when it comes to race relations. You think about Jack Johnson and Jackie Robinson and the things that have been able to be done through athletics. And I think that the NFL, the NBA, hockey, a lot of sports can help lead the way in this conversation to make this country better.
No doubt about it. He's a must follow on Twitter at Nui Scruggs. Make sure you follow him there. Does his work for NBC in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Nui, as always, you're a stud, my brother. Thank you for taking some time. You be safe and stay COVID-free, baby.
All right, everybody out there, have a great Juneteenth and happy Father's Day. Be well.
Got it. Happy Father's Day. There you go. The great Nui Scruggs, man. Good stuff as always. Again, Nui Scruggs, NEWYSCRUGGS. Follow him. He's a really good dude, a good follow, and good insight from that area when we're talking about Dallas and all that. He's always one of my go-to guys to talk about this. And I figured that with everything going on, this would be the perfect guy to bring on for all of this. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, our buddy Frank Openizo is going to join us. We're going to talk. We're going to switch gears, talk a little soccer, man. We do it all on this show. We talk everything. Coming to you live, baby, from Hialeah Park, Belmont Stakes. Tomorrow, come on out. I'm looking at a race right now, race number 5 at Belmont Park right now. We got Gulfstream going on. We got Maryland going on. We got all kinds of tracks. And tomorrow's the Belmont Stakes, so come on out here and wager a little bit. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Franco. We'll talk a little soccer right here from Hialeah Park on a beautiful Friday.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All right, we're back. All righty, we're going to talk a little soccer now. Frank Openizo, baby. He covers the MLS. He covers Inter Miami. July 8th, we will have our first game against Orlando City. I'm looking forward to that because obviously I've got another project going on. I'm working for Inter Miami. We're going to build a soccer radio station. So we'll tell you more about that coming as we put everything together. Looking forward to it. We're actually building the studio right now at the stadium, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it. Franco, of course, does an excellent job of covering the MLS and covering Inter Miami, Miami Total Football, the bilingual podcast. You can listen to it. You can follow my man Franco on Twitter at Frank Openizo, Panizo. Franco, good afternoon, my man. How are you doing, sir?
What's up, hermano? How are you doing, bro?
I am loving life, my friend. I'm here at Hialeah Park, relaxing, wagering on a couple of races, which is a beautiful thing. And we are awaiting now a little football. Although the news yesterday that a player tested positive for COVID-19. What do you know?
Yeah, so late last night, obviously, I saw the news just like everybody else. That a player tested positive for the coronavirus. The player can still. They didn't identify who it is. I haven't been able to pin down who it is. But the player can still potentially participate in this MLS's back tournament in Orlando next month because there's enough time. There's still enough time for him to self-quarantine and recover. And if he can pass 2 negative tests on consecutive exams, then he can resume training, and then that would enable him or make him eligible again to resume practice and potentially partake in that tournament, in that competition. But again, it all just depends on how quickly he recovers and how quickly he's able to get 2 negative tests back.
Franco, when you hear about them going to Orlando now for the tournament, and then after that, everybody will go to their respective cities after that, why not try to keep the whole thing in the bubble? Because I think that's the way you have a chance at surviving the entire season. Outside of the bubble, it's kind of like I don't really think they're going to be able to pull off the NFL and college football. I really don't. I especially college, controlling 90 kids from going out and partying and having sex and all that kind of stuff. Seriously, dude, come on.
They got to play the beer pong, man. You got to get your beer pong and play the game, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah, all that stuff, man. I'm just saying it's going to be hard. So, were there any thoughts for the MLS to kind of keep it all inside a bubble? Because that really is a great way of controlling the environment.
So MLS originally wanted this tournament that's going to happen in Orlando to double in size and the amount of games be double of what we're actually going to see or what we're getting. But the Players Union, the Players Association, negotiated against that because players didn't want to be away from their families for that long. They thought, a month is some people are having a problem with a month as is. So pushing it beyond that was out of the question for the Players Union. So that's where they had some issues when it came down to negotiating and getting it to this point. So the league probably wanted a tournament that could last a couple months, but at the end, they had to come to this deal, and this is what they agreed upon. But I know MLS wants to get back to playing games in markets, probably going to be without fans, although MLS Commissioner Don Garber a couple of weeks ago on a conference call said there is slight conversations that it could be a possibility that some fans attend some games in some markets, but obviously it's all very fluid, and it just depends on how everything progresses and proceeds. So we'll see, but the Orlando tournament will happen. We know that for sure. That's something to look forward to, something to get excited about.
All right, so the story with Inter, that kind of came out. And you saw where, several players for the Texans and the Cowboys failed, but we only found out about Zeke. And so is this something that's going on right now? Because of HIPAA, they're trying to keep it all under wraps and away from guys like you that are trying to dig it all up?
Well, they're trying to keep everything away from me. I think no. Look, honestly, I think the thing is with Inter Miami and MLS in general, they just haven't been very open about or public about who are the players that are contracting the virus. This is the fifth case. Inter Miami's the fifth case. The player is the fifth case in all of the league to have been diagnosed with COVID-19. And only one of those 5 players has been identified to date. And that was the very first one. I think he came out publicly and said it in an interview, or he came out publicly on a social media channel and said it. None of the other 4 players have been revealed. I think it's just the way MLS operates. They've decided to tackle this as opposed to revealing identity and saying this person has the virus. They're just keeping it to themselves. Obviously, that leads for a desire for information from the general public and us that work on the media side, but that's how MLS is approaching it. I'm sure in time we'll find out, but definitely still trying to pin that down for sure.
Did you think the way the tournament is set up that Miami wasn't put in a favorable position?
Obviously the first group, given how it is, and it's an unbalanced group with 6 teams, not every team gets to play each other like in the other groups. I do think that's obviously unfavorable. I also don't think it was right, not only just for Miami, but for all of the teams in the draw, that Miami just got handpicked to be in that group. And the announcement came 90 minutes before the draw was set to take place. I thought that was a little unfair. I get it from a league perspective. You want to draw eyeballs to the first match and to the tournament as a whole. So make it Miami-Orlando. It's a budding rivalry between the two Florida teams. I get it from a league perspective, but the way they went about it, and it kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth. And if you're in Miami, yeah, absolutely. Obviously you want to get back to playing games. And, they're focusing on that and taking care of what they can take care of, but it's definitely not a favorable draw. I mean, there was an article on Yahoo.com late last week, or maybe early this week, that broke down the percentages and the chances of each team being able to get out. And in Group A, it's considerably lower than any of the other teams. You could be a 3rd or 4th place team in Group A in Miami's group and have more points than, as a 4th place team, you could have more points than a 3rd place team in another group, but you're not going to get out because the rules stipulate top 2 finishers plus the 4th best 3rd place finishers. So a little unfair, but Inter Miami said that they're just going to try to focus on what they can control, and that's trying to win as many games as possible that they have in front of them.
How much better are they right now because of health?
Health, they're much better. Obviously, depends on who the player is that has COVID-19. We don't know who that is, but overall, they've gotten healthier over this break. I think, they have 3 players injured, but they're all younger players that are towards the end of the roster that weren't really going to figure in the plans this season. Besides that, everyone else is healthy. Again, aside from the unknown that is the player that has COVID-19. Julian Carranza, the forward that didn't play during the first 2 games of the season because he had a foot injury, is back. He's healthy again. Robbie Robinson has recovered.
I like him, man. I like that kid. He's got
Robbie?
Yeah, bro. I like him. I saw him play a little bit, and he's got some skills, bro. He might be somebody that might help him down the line. Now, you're right. This year he's young, he's green, but I kind of like the skill set.
Yeah, I remember talking. I think maybe the first time I came on or the second time I came on, and you were definitely high on him.
Yeah.
After that first game.
I like him. I think he's got some skills. Any word on adding a player? Because I know the pandemic, all of that. Are there any international players that maybe teams, because of the financial issues, they might be more willing to unload a good player that could be available? What do you hear about international transfers?
So I asked Paul McDonough last week about this, and then he later went on, did another media availability with another outlet and said they want to sign not only 2 significant players, they want to sign 3 significant players now. Before, the plan was always to sign a forward and a center midfielder. Now they were talking about a 3rd player that they could get via another process in Major League Soccer called the allocation order. and he was going to use that mechanism to sign a third player. He said last week that would be an attacking or a wide player. Those were his words. But then today comes out news that via The Athletic that Inter Miami is going to sign a center back, Leandro González Pires, an Argentine center back, currently plays in Mexico at Club Tijuana, but he had played with Atlanta United the last 3 seasons. He helped them win an MLS Cup. He's a known commodity in MLS. He's a very good center back, able to pass the ball well, a little rough sometimes, and he gets carded for hard tackles, and he's a little temperamental, but he's a very, very good center back. He's one of the best center backs in Major League Soccer during his time.
So what you're saying is he fits perfectly with this league.
Yes. Yeah. No, yeah. He was one of the best center backs in the league during his time with Atlanta. He helped them win. He has history with Paul McDonough. Paul McDonough obviously worked at Atlanta United for a bit. So he's coming on board. They're going to use that top spot in the allocation order to sign him. And he's probably, 99% sure he'll be a starter. It'll probably be him and Nico Figal. If they go with a 4-man backline. If they go with a 3-man, 5-man backline, then you can throw in Andres Reyes or Roman Torres as the third center back. But that's definitely one of the players. And they're still looking for that DP forward. They're still looking for that central midfielder. And he said he wants to sign them as soon as possible, as soon as MLS gives him the green light to start making transfers. Obviously, the window transfer closed with the coronavirus outbreak, suspending everything. But the idea is that the transfer window will be reopened fairly soon before the tournament begins, and then whether Inter Miami signs 2 more players is to be seen. But they definitely want to keep going, and they want to sign some players. They're not trying to reel it in or anything like that. They're definitely trying to spend some more money and sign some more players to round out this roster.
Yeah, and that was going to be my follow-up. And the way you're kind of talking about how they went center back, I think you're like me that you'd like to see one more because they need a little bit more scoring, right? A little bit more offense.
Yeah, I think like when I saw the news today, it was a bit of a surprise. Once you take a few minutes or a few seconds to process it, you connect the dots. Paul McDonough has worked with Leandro González Pires. It makes a lot of sense. Inter Miami also, and I don't want to get too far into it. I tweeted a bunch about it earlier today, but Roman Torres is not necessarily a center back that can play the style that Inter Miami wants to play, which is building out of the back. That's not what he's known for. He's more of a bull than a fox. He's more of a rough physical center back, not necessarily a finesse center back that knows how to squeeze in passes from different angles and help you build up through the back. So yeah, but I agree with you that they need more attacking help, and they know that they need a forward. They need someone that's going to come in here and can score goals and is proven. Whether it'll be a superstar or not, and someone that is a household name remains to be seen. But they definitely need to address that forward spot for sure, because right now Rodolfo Pizarro is the most proven guy in the attack, and he's the most talented guy in the attack, but he's not known for being an out-and-out goal scorer, and he's not going to be able to do it on his own. So he needs help. The attack needs another centerpiece, another focal attacking player, and hopefully for their case, for their case for this tournament, they get that done sooner rather than later. Because without that, I think they can fight and they can scrap like we saw them do in the first 2 weeks of the season. But I think it's going to be hard to see them win a lot of games if they don't have an out-and-out striker.
Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Frank Openizo. And, of course, you got to catch the Miami Total Football podcast. Tell us a little bit about the podcast, my brother, so the soccer fans can check you out.
Yeah, man. So when I moved back down here from New York, I was like, you know what, I want to do as much as I can. So obviously I've been doing my writing for SBIsoccer.com. I'm still doing that. But in addition to that, I have Miami Total Football, FUTBOL, which I started. And it's kind of just like, it was initially just for the podcast, but then it kind of is turning into this like brand that I'm doing other stuff with. So now I have a YouTube channel with Miami Total Football that I'm doing video hits on, which I've learned how to do over this coronavirus pause. And then the podcast, Miami Total Football Radio, talking about Inter Miami. Everything's about Inter Miami focus, news, analysis, opinions, anything you can think of. I'm working up a video right now actually on the González Pires rumor or the report. So, yeah, man, if you're an Inter Miami fan and you want daily news and daily updates and somewhere you can get just your everything you could think of, news analysis, everything, yeah, Miami Total Football is a place to be.
There you go. So follow it, Miami Total Football on Twitter, MIA Total Football, and follow him on Twitter at Frank Openizo, and catch, of course, the podcast as always. Franco, you're a stud, my brother. Thank you for taking some time and talking a little football.
No problem, brother. I hope to talk to you again soon. Hopefully when we get some games going.
You got it. There you go. Appreciate you, man. Frank
All right,
Openizo, baby. There we go. Miami Total Football joining us here on the program. It's a beautiful thing, man. I love it. I love it. Let me talk a little music. You know, we love talking a little music here on the show. First of all, Queen and Adam Lambert have announced that they will be hosting a YouTube tour watch party this weekend to mark what would have been the wrap-up of their arena tour. So the special event starts at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, June 21st. It'll be available for 24 hours on the band's official YouTube channel. The Queen camp had this to say about the special online event. While appreciating that it won't be the same as seeing them perform live, the band instead are providing an all-access pass to a specially compiled show of highlights from previous tours on the day that they would have played their final O2 London concert by tying it up with a YouTube special, Queen and Adam Lambert. So if you're a Queen, and let me tell you, Adam Lambert does an awesome job. Nobody is Freddie. Nobody will ever be Freddie. In fact, Adam Lambert will tell you he doesn't hold a candle to Freddie, okay? And he's a great singer in his own right. He should get a lot of credit, and he's actually a really good frontman for the band. Does a really good job. If you go to that concert, you will walk away extremely happy of a Queen concert with Adam Lambert. I'm telling you, nothing is Freddie, but that guy does a really, really good show. Now, Disturbed, you saw him recently with In This Moment, right?
Yes, man, that was awesome.
With our girl Maria. Well, Disturbed's Sickness 20th anniversary tour with Stained and Bad Wolves is now set for the summer of 2021. So they rescheduled everything. And I tell you this because July 7th of next year in West Palm Beach at the I Think Financial Amphitheater will be the first date on the concert.
Is that as far south as they're coming?
Yeah, West Palm. What more do you want? That's good enough.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
West Palm,
I'm trying to get greedy, man.
Oh, well, but at least we got that.
We got a Tampa.
That's a good show.
We got a Tampa.
Yes, the day after.
Okay.
July 8th at Mid-Florida Credit Union.
Frank.
Be good, Frank. The great Frank Fiore. Thank you, Frank Fiore. You are a stud, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, thank you, Frankie. You are the man.
Hey, good luck tomorrow, man.
That's right. He's going to win a lot. That's what he'll do tomorrow. You know Frank's going to win. So if we want to see it twice, we can go up to Tampa the next day. I don't know what July 7th and 8th are.
Hey, I have a plan.
Of next year.
I have a plan.
You know what I mean?
Guess what my plan is?
What's that?
We're on the road.
I mean, well, it all depends because 2021 is going to be pretty busy. We might have a conflict that day. You just never know. Who knows? The conflict might be on the 7th, and we might have to stay locally to see something else and then drive up to Tampa to go see Disturbed.
Okay. July 4th falls on a Sunday. We are looking at Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay. All right. Wednesday, Thursday. All right. And the beauty is we run our own show. Kid Rock. Now, you know, if Kid Rock owned a business, do you think he would be the kind of guy that would follow all the rules in business?
I would find that hard to believe.
Exactly. So, Kid Rock owns a bar. It's called the Big Ass Honky Tonk and Rock and Roll Steakhouse in Nashville, and its permit was suspended for violating some of the laws. Governor Bill Lee lifted restrictions on restaurants in the state of the middle of May, allowing them to operate at full capacity again, but certain social distancing guidelines were still in place. Only seated dining had been allowed indoors, and bars were supposed to remain closed for the time being. But according to the Tennessean, Nashville planned to enter the third phase of the reopening as soon as the 22nd, which would allow bar seating at half capacity. However, Kid Rock's Honky Tonk, owned by Steve Smith, opened up their bar, and they were seen serving customers by inspectors. Thus, their beer permit was suspended for 5 days. Okay? Now, You want to see how Kid Rock's bar looks like during a pandemic? Okay?
Which is worse? The pool or that?
This.
I was
You're all
gonna say,
over each
you're
other,
like,
trapped
right?
up.
Yeah, man.
Trapped up. At least the pool is out in the open.
Right.
I mean that, and of course, it figures. Kid Rock
That's
would be.
why. You know, every one of those idiots in that picture. Why would you put yourself in that place?
I don't know.
What the hell's wrong with people, man?
Yeah. Well, but it's Kid Rock. I mean, kind of.
Yeah, but Kid Rock didn't tell all those people, "Hey, get to my bar."
No, but he's the guy that allowed all those people
True.
in.
True, but
so you allow your manager, whatever. Your people allowed them in there. You know what I mean? So
let's be honest, though, a 5-day suspension.
That's nothing.
Shame on you.
Yeah,
shame on you.
It's nothing.
You know what? He got better pub.
Right. Yeah.
For
True.
eating the 5 days than he did, being open those 5 days.
Yeah. Motley Crue, by the way, has now also announced their rescheduled 2021 dates for their stadium tour with Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett. And again, I wanted to mention because the fourth concert, first is in Nashville, by the way. Kid Rock will probably go. Cincinnati, Charlotte, and then Miami on June 26th. You'll be able to see Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett.
I'll go if they lower the prices on them tickets.
And then June 27th, they're in Orlando. So if you want to go see the Camping World Stadium.
You remember the astronomical cost on that?
Yes, I'm just saying.
It's
but there'll be a lot of people that'll go, Bill. I mean, there'll be a lot of
Hey, more power to you. Just for that number.
Right. No, I'm with
the way
you.
Vince's voice. I mean, I will always want to go see Def Leppard. Always.
Yeah.
Def Leppard is
No, the other
still.
three bands are fine. It's just, you're not going to get. No, I would go to that concert anyways, even with Crew. But yeah, you're right. The prices are going to be ridiculous. Let's give a little love to a little super chatting because we got some folks that are super chatting. First of all, Tommy Italian 305 for live. Thank you, sir. He goes, Big O, I got a question for your audience. Who's your favorite, Alexa, NorCal, or somebody else? Okay? All of you guys and ladies out there are my favorites, okay? Can't pick one. Love you all out there for supporting us. Julius305, he chimes in with a super chat. He says, Happy Father's Day to all the pops in here. Thanks for the week, Big O and Bill. Thank you, Julius305, chiming in on the super chat. Dean G has dropped a super chat. He says, thanks, Big O. Thanks for another great week. Wish I could be there at Hialeah. Well, soon, man. Come on out. Fire it off. What? Super chat.
No way.
Yes way. No way. Yes way.
They were fantastic.
Super chat. There you go. It is so unbelievable, man. It is unbelievable.
I can't believe we burned through another week, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did 5 hours today with no problem.
How much stuff do we leave on the cutting room floor?
A lot. In fact, you know what? I do want to talk about one thing that I thought was
only one, man.
I mean, there's actually I'm leaving like 7 stories, but there's one that I do. Drew Bo, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. He puts Alexa MVP. There you go. So Alexa gets the vote. I just want to tell the Panthers organization, shame on you. You're despicable. You're an embarrassment. You're petty. What you did with Cam was ridiculous. They put out to vote, who is your GOAT? Oh, yeah. And they put Luke Kuechly, Steve Smith, and Julius Peppers. All 3 guys are phenomenal players and all deserve to be on that list. And if you want to put Sam Mills in there, you should also. But Cam Newton, the fact that they only put those 3 guys and left Cam out, the only guy that's won a league MVP, The guy that led you to a Super Bowl in like a 15-1 season.
It was 15-1. Yep.
It was just he has accomplished more than anybody else. He's like third in rushing. He's number one in passing. He's got all these stats, dude. He owns everything. More touchdowns than anybody else. How are you not putting it? I get it, man. You had to let him go. You had to turn the page. The new coach wanted to get a different kind of quarterback. I got no problem. Look, I understand football.
This wasn't an accidental slight, right?
This
is something, right?
This is on purpose. I understand the football part of it. You don't want a running quarterback. You want to drop back pass. You want to. If that's what Matt Rule wants to do, I respect all of that, dude. I get all of that. Whatever you want to change your style of play, you want to be open out, you want to be run, you want to pound it, whatever. I don't care what style. You got to adjust. You go 3-4, you go 4-3. Certain players are going to fit, certain players aren't going to fit. When you do that, I don't care about that. But as an organization, you should embrace Cam Newton, okay, because you kicked him out. He wanted to be a Panther. Okay, you didn't want him. It wasn't like he was, oh, I hate the organization. You guys suck. Get rid of me. I'm not. That wasn't it. You got rid of him. You didn't want him. Man, at least appreciate what he did for you, man. He's the reason why you guys were an impact over the last few years. When he's balling, the Panthers were balling. I mean, it just gets to a point where it's insulting and ridiculous. And look, this has nothing to do with color or anything like that, because Julius Peppers and who was it? It was Kuechly and Steve Smith. So 2 of the 3 players are black that are there. This has nothing to do with race. This is all pettiness. Okay? This is pettiness. This is being pathetic. This is not respecting a guy that laid it on the line and took a whole bunch of hits. That's his kind of game and everything, but he sold out for you. I just, I've had that on the back burner the last couple of days, and I keep forgetting.
Why would the new group do him like are they trying to forget about that guy? Forget it, like make him go away from the Panthers fans' mind? Like he's going to be erased?
I don't know. I have no idea, dude.
Because there's no blood. He didn't say anything on the way out. Like, there was nothing, right?
Nothing. Took out a full-page ad and everything.
That's just classless.
You know what I mean? That guy, every time he scored a touchdown, he gave the ball to a child.
Yes, I do remember that.
Every time he scores the football, he gave it to a child.
Made dabbing popular.
Yeah, I mean, he had fun. He was having fun while he was out there.
Except for his press conference post Super Bowl.
Okay, well,
that was not fun.
So that was a lack of maturity moment for him.
Probably is one glaring mistake.
We're all guilty of having our bad moments, but he's not a bad dude.
No.
And he is a bad ass for you that sold out for you. The least you can do is put him on that. Not only put him on that tweet, put him in the Ring of Honor if you have one. I don't even know if the Panthers have one or whatever it is. That dude, man, balled out for you, bro. Give him a little love. That's all I'm saying.
I know that they don't have a statue in the front of their stadium anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I took that one out. Super Boom Shack says, hit the Players Club about a month or 2, put a tan on, and let's see what to do. I don't know what that means, but have fun, Super Boom Shack.
Sounds like somebody's got plans, man.
He might be injured with the way he plays for sure. I don't know if you're talking about Cam. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, nobody's been able to really work him out. He's on IG every day. Go look at his IG. He's posting and throwing and running around and all that. So
I got to think that's
he is going to be the most motivated mother in the world. Now, you have to play that kind of style of football. And the tough part about Cam is he's going to bring swag like he needs to start. So if you bring him in, you better bring him in because it's competitive. You can't bring Cam in and tell him, well, you're just a backup. He's probably not going to be happy with that. Okay.
I would, if I had to guess, he doesn't have a job because of lack of teams being able to really work him out.
Right, and very few offenses are going to run what he wants. So that's the thing. Dougie Fresh with a super chat. He says, "Oh, cheers to your guest, Nui. The perfect voice adding to the discussion. His mention of players holding owners accountable is profound." Yeah, no, I'm a Nui Scruggs fan, man. He's a really good dude. Always a great conversation. Whenever I bring him on here or the national show, Nui is, and like I told you, he's actually a really good follow on Twitter. You know, you'll enjoy following his Twitter feed, and you'll get hungry at times because, man, he can put on some barbecue. Oh, dude, and he takes pictures of the barbecue, and it's going to make your mouth water,
And
bro.
I'm sure it's real Q, not grilling.
He's in
it's
Texas.
Smoke.
He's in Texas, bro.
Well, do you understand there's a difference?
Yeah, no, I know, but he's in Texas.
Throwing stuff on a grill and grilling is not queuing. That's smoking and hours and the little choo-choo and the wonderfulness.
Nui will make you hungry,
Oh,
bro.
man.
Nui will make you hungry.
I want barbecue right now.
All right, we got to wrap it up. I think 5 hours and 5 minutes is
We do? There's no super chats keeping you here? The listeners aren't forcing your hand?
There isn't a late second
No
super chat
departure
coming
from
in.
this week.
Yes.
Oh, cannot go quietly into that good night.
I left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories. That
Only 7? That's only
7 stories that I prepared for and I didn't use, but that's normal. That's just the way it goes.
Did this day fly by, or is it just me, man?
No, I think it went pretty fast, actually, considering 5 hours of radio is, and our 5 hours is 5 hours, okay?
Legit, yes.
Yeah, we break for, 4, 5, 6 minutes in an entire hour, and we're not breaking half an hour every hour. We do a lot of talking on this one, so it's a lot. So appreciate all of you out there. See this? This is a super fat back, clap back, neck snap. Okay, I like that.
So what are you guys gonna do? Are you gonna go down to the Keys, man?
Not today, tomorrow.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
tomorrow.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know yet. We haven't decided what cruise we're taking yet. I haven't decided yet, but it'll be one of the two. It'll be A1A or it'll be US1 down one way or another. Are they allowing you in the Keys?
Yes. Yes.
You sure?
My friends, yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I
I don't live there. I don't work there, so I don't
they
wanna
actually
get kicked out.
they opened up. The thing that was funny, my buddy, okay, he sold his house, but the ones that I told you about from NASCAR, they still have the house, and of course he takes care of blah. But his wife doesn't have any ID that says Keys on it, so he could go down. But she, being his wife, she could not go down.
Wow.
They were really serious about that down there.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, bro.
And I think it's
trying to keep people alive.
I think it's been 2 weeks now, but this past week he did tell me that the mask situation and whatnot, they are serious about it down there.
Of course.
Which, bottom
I
line,
know
it
you-
should be serious
I know
everywhere.
you guys don't see me with a mask when I do my show because obviously I can't do the show with a mask because then it's muffled the entire time. But I wear my mask everywhere I go, dude. Anytime I get off the car to go anywhere, I am always wearing my mask.
Well, you see me, man.
Yeah.
My hand sanitizer, my spray.
We got no choice. We got no choice.
You know.
Got no choice. All right, we got to wrap it up here on the program. Thanks to all of you out there, as always, for keeping it locked every single day, every week. Thanks for all of you out there that are downloading and sharing all that good stuff. We thank Bill and Philippe, as always.
One
and
last
of course,
super chat rundown.
all of our super chatters today: Steve M, Gus 1388, Cookie Vice, Alex Diaz, Super Boom Shack, Tommy Italian 305 for life, Julius 305, Dean G, all of you out there super chatting, thank you very much.
Wow. Recent research has shown
super chat
makes no sense.
Yeah, you're getting focused on all the wrong sort of details here. You need to forget about all the normal rules that apply in society.
Wasted no time. Super chat. I thought it was really, 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 really cool.
You should all be very proud of yourself.
I have no response.
Super chat.
That was perfect.
It's always perfect. Thank you all out there. You guys are absolutely awesome. Make sure you stay safe out there, all right? We'll see you on Monday. I don't know. Maybe I'll do something over the weekend. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll maybe. You never know.
You got 7 things on that sheet that could be utilized.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Work off of that.
But they're not lead stories. You know what I mean? So they're kind of like filler stories.
I hope everybody has
Although there
some
was one that was
semblance-
kind of interesting on football. I'll leave that one for next week.
I hope everybody has some semblance of a weekend, not just, my usual drive-through routine.
Just be safe. Be safe.
Exactly.
Whatever you do, just
responsible.
be safe.
Yes.
Yeah, just be
Set an example. You'll probably be out there with some idiots that you could teach them the right way to do this.
Much love out there. Thank you as always, Bill, as always, and Philippe. Appreciate it. You all be good out there. Much love.
We'll see you on Monday.
Be good.
This is the Big O Show.